Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and you're listening and or watching the Third Fleet podcast. Last time you heard me playfully roast Rurikhan, but he had his shield up and he's left unscathed. Today we've got a variety of topics to talk about, so make yourself a nice cup of whatever you like to drink, sit back and enjoy. Rurikhan, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty okay. I did go to the hospital this weekend, but nothing too
Uh-oh.
serious. It's basically I've been having a little bit of a stomach pain and some heartburn and whatnot. But, it was nothing too serious and everything was pretty safe over at the hospital. So, yeah, it was fine. They gave me some medication and I've been feeling better. It has, however, affected my voice slightly. So I do get a little bit raspier, a little bit faster than usual, but should still be okay. Should still be fine. And it's not like these
Just
podcasts last too long, right?
Yeah, they only what, a few hours.
A couple of
Yeah,
hours.
it adds a little gravel to your voice, makes you a little sexier. It
Yeah.
works.
Talk
Yeah.
like a man. Big man voice.
Shields
yeah. Shields up, iron breakers.
Arg. You're like the sword master.
So
40 years.
before we dive right into some Monster Hunter discussion in this particular episode, because we both know that once we dive down the Monster Hunter route, like we're never gonna come out. I figured I would start us off with a bit of a different topic. Namely, I wanted us to talk about some other games that we might be excited to try out this year. So
Yeah.
they're not
This
Monster Hunter
one's
because
gonna be
like
a good one.
we're both super hyped about Monster Hunter Rise. We're both super hyped about Monster Hunter Stories 2. Hell, I'd be super hyped about Monster Hunter Stories 1 if they would just release it on the Switch. But what else? What else is in the horizon that you are curious to try out?
So I said, big surprise, we play other games as well. I don't know how we find the time, but we do. I've got a bunch. Do you wanna go down a list, or do you want these
Yeah,
go
just
one for one?
just go down the list, and if I see something weird, or I might ask
Yeah.
you a couple of questions. But like mainly, if you have like a big reason why this particular title
Yeah.
is something that talks to you, just like say it out, something like that.
Okay. Well, I'll say this year, and this is gonna be so niche, there is going to probably be a new Toho Project game. I know most people are like, what the heck is Toho Project? And I have a video on it. You can watch it. I'm not going to go into detail here, but it's a bullet hell game featuring cute girls instead of ships. And it's just a beloved indie franchise that's been going on for like 25 years. So the creator is just one guy. He was going to make a game last year, but then he's like, well, there's the Olympics and everything. So I'm going to take my time. And so he said that he's going to have a new game in 2021. So I'm hyped because the characters that he introduces and the songs, like those live on for like decades. So whatever it's going to be coming out this year is going to be a lot of fun. So me and Yuna also likes bullet hell games as well. Surprising, but yeah, we're looking forward to whatever that may be, whenever it may be. But it should be this year.
I
Have you
have
played any Toho
actually,
games?
I have actually played a little bit of Toho because a while back I used to check out a lot of Niz America's games because I would like to absorb as many Japanese games
Yeah.
that I could, so that I could check out some of the culture. What is the development like on some of these titles? And Toho is one of those that kind of like crossed my my repertoire at some point, and these are insane. Like there's one in particular that was presented almost like a fighting game. I'm not sure if all of them are like that. I don't think all
No,
of them are
that's
like
one.
that.
Yeah, no, they're all bullet hell, but he's done a few where he partnered with another indie group and they made a fighting game.
But it's like
There's like two of them.
that one was a fighting game, but it was bullet hell fighting game. So it was like 1v1, you versus another. They're not all like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll also say that Toho is special in that the creator lets people make and create content using his characters' worlds, even the songs, with a complete free license. He says, as long as you're not a corporation, you can do whatever you want with my stuff. Have fun. So there's like thousands of fan games that are Toho that are on sale on the Switch everywhere, like Steam. So it may not have been an actual official Toho
Yeah,
game
exactly.
that you're playing. I don't know.
That's the thing. But
People made like Toho RPGs. They've made romance. They've made every genre of game. There's a Toho version of it.
But it is a very interesting kind of. It's almost like a genre in of itself because it's not just bullet hell. It's bullet hell, but it's Toho and it is its own kind of thing. But I did thought it was pretty cool. But it's not really my kind of thing that I tend to play that often. But yeah, I knew that you're super interested in Toho, so I expected to see something Toho in your list.
I was gonna say, some people ask me, like, where do I start? I just want to say that if you're interested, if you go on Steam, they are selling not the very first like 10 games, which were probably the best. They are selling the more recent releases on Steam, but there's so many Toho games. The way to know that it's the official game is it's made by Team Shanghai Alice. So if you're interested, just look for Team Shanghai Alice in Steam, and that'll pop up games that are official. So definitely worth checking out if you are interested. So that's one.
Okay.
I'll mention these because there's not much to talk about. But if I can manage to get a PlayStation 5, because it hasn't gone on sale here in Japan, as far as I'm concerned, there's articles in the newspapers now in Japan saying how Sony has completely flubbed it and that PS5 is going to be a total failure in Japan because no one. It's been too long. People the
People are
excitement is
losing
gone.
interest. Yeah,
The
for
thing
sure.
is,
Like I,
only resellers have it. They've only given the country a total of about, I'd say, 290,000 units over the last few months. There's just no units in this country.
I'm
So only resellers have it. The most top selling game is like 20, 30,000 copies. That's it.
It's like
It's
I'm
dead.
actually super surprised that they still haven't been able to figure out the stock situation because I have a lot of friends that were like super excited about a PS5 and by now their hype has completely died down. They're just like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just playing on my PS4, like, this is whatever.
whatever. One
And
day. But
it is pretty bad for Sony themselves to not be able to just like figure the situation out. And even earlier today, I saw a news article that apparently some UK retailer was going to get a bunch of consoles, and wouldn't you
yeah,
know it, the scalpers got their hands on their entire stock before it even went on sale. They used some kind of a glitch. They bought out all the PlayStation 5s. Just like straight up scalpers. Scalpers are winning this fight straight up. So it's pretty
and what I
insane.
don't understand is, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but like, we know that there's no way to technically stop it, but there's some methods. Like, I know like those weird machine gotchas is one way that you can sort of curb some of the bots. Why aren't sites implementing this?
I,
In Japan, it's been raffle only from the very get go. No first come first serve. It's all raffle, which means no one's gonna get. And then they thought that raffles would stop it. Nope, everyone's just reselling it because you can turn over double the profit. And then
it's
resellers are trying to resell it again. It's like it's just it's a bad situation.
it's terrible. Like there's just so little stock, and the few stock that does show up ends up going to scalpers. It's completely insane.
Yeah,
Like
but
which
I
to
di-
me
I digress.
I feel really bad about it because like I have one. I got one from Sony so that I could, do coverage on Demon Souls and stuff. And I
You've got
think
a
it's a
unicorn in
fantastic
your
system.
house.
Yeah, I do. Like I think it's a fantastic system. I think overall it's a really good console, and it kind of sucks that people just can't get their hands on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if I can get one, I'm gonna want something new and shiny to play with it. So I have two titles that I'll pick up just to play them. One is the Neo remastered, even though I don't think I'll play through the games. We talked about Neo before and how I kind of stopped midway, but I never touched Neo 2. But if I can get a shiny PS5, it'd be a good excuse to tinker with it a little bit, you know?
So the remastered is the what they're calling, I think, the final edition or the complete edition or whatever it is that comes Neo 1, Neo 2, and all DLCs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
4K, 120 FPS
Eh.
support if you
Oh,
want
right.
1080
It does have
or 60 for
120.
4K.
Yeah, that'll be sweet.
Yeah.
120, but I'm not sure because like that game
And
also looks really good in 4K
yeah.
probably.
Oh yeah. Then the Demon Souls, of course, as we've talked about, is a game that I've never played, so I would love to play it.
So
So those
good.
are just kind of like throwaways. Like if I get a new toy, that'll be what I play with them. Let's see here. Minecraft. They have a huge update coming this summer. It's called Caves and something, but they're adding in a whole. It's a huge change. They're adding in a brand new cave system, a new mountain system. They have like underwater caves that you can swim, you can raft in. You've got new like amethyst is going to be added to the game, bronze or there's a whole list. You should go through.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
There's a bunch
So
of new
me and
stuff.
Yuna are
I'm very curious about one thing though, which is the thing that I keep hearing about whenever someone talks to me about Minecraft. Are consoles going to get RTX or is that still not a thing?
that's the number one thing I want to know because we played the RTX. I have a RTX card in my computer, so we put on the RTX version, and me and Yuna's jaw dropped. Like if you
Yeah,
want to
I've heard that
feel
thing is
what
pretty.
next gen feels like, it's mind blowing. I said, "Wow, okay, lighting is going to be the killer feature of this next gen. Like this is amazing." But can they get it to work on console? I'm sure they're trying their damned hardest. But if they do, then you better believe we're going to be there day one. My guess is that they're going to say, okay, we're doing a huge update for summer. I imagine they're trying their hardest to get ray tracing for this holiday season, because that would be the perfect way to sell the new Xboxes this holiday, is to say we've got, the most beautiful version of Minecraft, because it is mind blowing, my man. Oh my
Oh,
God. I'm
that's
just standing
right.
there with a damn torch in my hand, and I'm like, like, oh, let me put this on the, oh my God, let me put a lantern here. And then it feels like I'm a kid again.
I just got reminded of something, which is Microsoft now owns Minecraft, so basically they could give RTX to Xbox and not give it to PlayStation 5.
Well, they wouldn't do
And
that. They Minecraft, they give to
I
everybody.
hope they don't. I hope they wouldn't. But okay, keep
But
going,
yeah,
please.
so I'm looking forward to that. And then RTX is on the top of the list, but I don't know if it's going to be this year. Halo Infinite, I'm looking forward to. I'm not. I think that's coming this year. I think they said this holiday they're aiming
Yes,
for.
yes. I think it's supposed to come 2021.
And I'm not a big Halo guy, and I'm not a big shooter guy. Like, if you know the games that I play, but I
Yeah,
have really fond memories of Halo 3, which was my first Halo experience. I really enjoyed that on the 360. And
I
so it's one of those things where like I know it's just good stupid fun. And if they can bring that back, I'd be so happy.
I've never played too much Halo. I did play Halo 1. It's probably the only one that I finished, but I did buy like the Master Chief Edition and Halo 5,
Yeah.
and I never played either of them. I
Well, the
bought
good
them.
thing is like I subscribe to Game Pass because it's cheaper here in Japan than anywhere in the world actually, which is hilarious. We only pay 1,100 yen a month, which is like 10 US dollars for Ultimate. So which is like 35% cheaper than the US.
But that's
But I mean, you
because
get all.
Microsoft is, I think, is like trying to make headway in the Asian market. So that's probably one of the big reasons why it's so cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sense.
They're trying, but and the Japanese catalog has a few missing items than the US one. But if you just change your region of your console to US, boom, you've got the whole catalog. Doesn't matter. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, with Game Pass, you're gonna get all those games day one, so it's like it's a no brainer. I'm looking forward to that one, so that should be fun. I'm not following it so heavy, but I played the first game so much and I loved it, which is Bravely Default 2. So like
Okay.
Bravely Default 1, I really liked. I said at the time that it was the next best Final Fantasy that wasn't called Final Fantasy. Because to me it was Final Fantasy in all but name. It was really good. I never played like I think they had a spin-off,
Yeah,
one or
they
two of
did.
them,
It
and I never
was
played those.
Bravely Second was the name of that one. I played. I think I
Yes.
played the demo and I played a little bit of the game as well. I played a decent chunk of the first one. I never really did finish it, but I really liked Bravely Default. I thought it was really good. I think they also did. That's the same team, if I'm not mistaken, that did Octopath Traveler, right? Isn't it?
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure.
sure.
Might be.
It might be. Sorry. No
It might
hard
be.
no hard facts on that particular topic. But Octopath Traveler I also really, really enjoyed. I thought it was freaking brilliant. But yeah,
Nice.
Octopath Traveler and Bravely Default, those in a lot of ways, I feel like those games are a little bit similar. So while I do
Yeah.
really like them, I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to play them because I have to play games to create videos and stuff, and yeah,
Yeah.
makes it
That and
challenging.
like many people, I adored the soundtrack of the first Bravely Default game, and that I think it was Revo, however you pronounce it. They're back to do, I believe, the soundtrack for Default 2. So when I heard that, I was like, ooh, okay. I hope I'm not wrong, and someone's gonna tell on the podcast. Sorry to crush your dream, Gaijin, but no, they're not back. But it looks
And
good. So
And
I'll
by
pick
the
that up.
way, if you guys are curious about Bravely Default 2, there's already a demo on. Actually, it's been there for a while, I think, and I believe that your progress carries over to the final game. So
Interesting.
you can actually already play Bravely Default 2 and get prepped up because I believe the game releases 23rd or 26th. I think it's 23rd, 26th of February. But yeah, that one is
Interesting.
again that one is also one that I'm very interested in, but I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to play it with all of the other stuff that I want to play.
That's a tough one. Yeah, it's you have to sort of sit down on a rainy day. That's one of those good
Yeah.
RPG titles, and that worked really good on handheld. So I'm kind of interested to see how it's going to work with Switch for me because whilst I do have a Switch Lite and I have a Switch regular, because of the pandemic, I'm working at home. I'm at home almost all the time, so I'm actually playing my Switch more like a console than I have been a handheld. So it'll be very interesting to see how I play that. But yeah, it looks good. I did not think I was going to look forward to it because I'm not. I like the series and I reviewed actually two of them. But when I saw the new trailer for Biohazard Village, and I see
Resident
that
Evil.
there's oh sorry, yeah, it's called Resident Evil on the English.
I mean, you can say Biohazard. I'm just translating to the people listening in the West. Biohazard, Resident Evil.
Sorry, Resident Evil Village, and I saw the trio of sexy vampire zombies. I was like, okay, I gotta get this. You kidding me? Like I
I
don't I didn't like 7 because I just the first person perspective threw me off and it was a little I don't want to say scary, but it was unsettling to me having like the was it like the abusive father coming after you like trying to
oh
like my
you think
father's
that's
a saint
unsettling?
like so I don't have bad experiences from that, but I imagine some people that was not good, but like I didn't like the feeling of feeling like I was being chased and going to be murdered by someone I didn't want to murder me. So but
So
come on. Like these girls, I don't mind if they barge in the room and they get on me and they rip my throat out. That's okay.
so let me tell you, I'm not a huge fan of horror games in general, and Resident Evil, like I think Resident Evil is a fantastic franchise. It's just usually not for me. Not because I'm scared or anything. It's just I don't like a game that limits my ammunition to a point where I'm always concerned. Oh my god, can I afford to take this shot? Like this, that's like the type of pressure that I'm not a huge fan of. Like I like blasting monsters. I like just destroying them. There's a reason I play the gun lance and not the bow gun. It's because the
Huh?
gun lance doesn't run out of shells. That's the beauty of
But
it, right?
that's why they have easy mode. Easy mode on Resident Evil is fantastic
Yeah, but I
because you
like
don't have to worry so much. And to me, the game is more about the puzzles. I like the puzzle aspect.
but I like challenge as well. So like I would never play it
Uh,
on easy. So and here's something that I did. There's actually a full playthrough of Resident Evil 7 in my channel, all in VR.
oh, good gosh, I couldn't do that.
Dude, there were some
Nah.
there were some jump scares in there, and then I have this thing which is like, look, gore doesn't phase me out at all. Like you can rip someone's head off
Yeah,
right in
yeah.
front of me, like in video games and just like simulated violence or movies, whatever. Like that doesn't trigger me at all. But like, dude, you put a big ass fly in front of me, like an unnaturally large fly, and that just like,
Yeah.
get that thing away from
So
me.
what did you think about like the vampire girl with like the bees and stuff coming out of her mouth and swarming you, almost
I
Bioshock like?
haven't I haven't seen any of Resident Evil 8
Oh
trailers
wow.
because I know that Resident Evil is not for me, but if what you just described sounds terrible and I probably would not care for it one bit.
I'm sure you've seen the images on Twitter, but
Oh yeah,
basically
yeah,
it
I've seen
looks
the
like
the vampire the abnormal the
you've got like the
abnormally tall
madame, and then
lady.
you've got her
Yeah.
daughters, and they're probably gonna be the bosses. It kind of reminds me of like Metal Gear 4, I think, when you had like the team of like four like female robots. I
I
can't
am
remember their
curious
names.
about one thing because you said you didn't like 7 all that much because it was in first person. So 8 is going to
Yeah,
be third person again?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
they
I
showed
wasn't
off some
even aware
gameplay.
of
It's first
that.
person again. Yeah.
Third person, you mean?
Sorry, it's first person.
Wait, so it is
Wow,
first person on 8?
it is first person again. Yeah,
I
they're
thought you
going
didn't
back to
like
first
7
person.
because it was first person, so there's still first person.
There is, yeah, but there's sexy vampires. I mean, how can I?
Okay.
I wanna play with the vampire girls. I can't help myself.
You should play it
So
in
that's the
VR,
only,
dude.
literally, that's the only reason why I'm looking forward to the game. I
Sexy
don't like
vampires.
first person games, but when I saw that, I'm like, I've got to play this. Are you kidding me? Like, I've got that, that itch, that the gothic girl itch. Like, you put that, and I'm sold. Like,
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I see
I
where
like
I
the
see where you're going.
vampires.
Yeah.
I like the zombie girls. That's my cup of tea.
Okay.
So yeah, so I will play and enjoy that. I'm sure that'll be really fun. I don't know if it's coming this year. I highly doubt it, but I've been really looking forward to Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga for Xbox
Dude.
from Ninja Theory, because Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is one of my favorite, I would say, game experiences in the last decade, and I've
Dude,
talked about this a lot.
that game was insane. Like I didn't play it when it came out, but then eventually I was like, okay, I got to check this out. A lot of people are talking this game up, and when I actually played it, I was like, this game is insane, and it's really cool because it is a game that they've did some intense research on actual like mental health and problems that people have, and tried
Yeah,
representing those in game. And just the way that game goes from like beginning to end, like it just really blew my mind. You really
there's
do
just
get to
ideas in there. Yeah,
yeah, I think that's as close as you get to like experiencing what someone with mental health actually goes through in a
yeah.
respectful way, which I think was really, really well done. Like I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but there's a few things in that game that
Oh yeah.
I mean, I still think about. I mean, I fell
Just a
so much
few,
in love.
just a few
I bought
things.
the T-shirts. I bought all the merchandise I could to help support the team. I really enjoyed it. And if any of you who are listening are interested in game development, they have a
Yeah.
making of series on YouTube where it
Oh
was
yeah.
almost like a Kickstarter where they did a full developer diary. You can watch it and it doesn't spoil the game at all. There's no spoilers in it. It's one of the best made game, I think, documentaries I've ever seen when it comes to game development. It's absolutely fascinating, and I it kills me to see these videos on YouTube, and they're absolute amazing. And it's like, oh, it's got 20,000 views. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
how can
Like
people not? It's so interesting.
when I finished the game, I went back and I just watched all of those, the creation of everything and how they did it, which is, you know, why I was talking about the research that they did into mental health issues
Yeah.
and all of the other things. It's really well done. And it was really cool, like the step that they took where it's like, here's a game that's really well made. It's not going to be as big as other games in terms of just like game length,
What they
but
call it,
we're only
double A,
gonna
right?
yeah, but we're only going to charge you like what was $30 or something like that on
Or
release. It
something.
was
Yeah, it was
something
low
along those
cost. Yeah.
lines. Yeah. So I was like, this is really cool. And I was super happy when I played that game because I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. And just like the business practices that they've done and all of the research that went into it
Mhm.
was mind blowing.
They
So
they
yeah.
made a fan out of me from there. So like for me, I'm like Ninja. Okay, I'm a fan. So I'm super
Yeah.
looking
So
forward to it.
Hellblade 2, I'm super curious as well.
Then the other ones I have on here are really not games that I'm looking forward to as much as I like. Like when we talk about like games like Monster Hunter, we're like, oh, I'm tracking it. I want to play it. Like those cover all the ones. I'd say if there's, I'm sure I'll probably get the Bowser's Fury game, the Super Mario 3. I'll probably get it, but honestly, my
It's
what do
fun.
I want
It's
to call
really
it?
fun to play in co-op though. I mean, I don't know if you've had a Wii U or not, but like that game can be played co-op throughout and it's actually pretty fun. So that could be
Interesting,
something
because
cool to
Yuna's
play
never
with
played 3D
Yuna.
World, and that to me to this day is my favorite Mario
Yeah,
game. I've
I
never,
mean,
I
wait,
love it.
Bowser's Fury is 3D World, right? Isn't that the expansion
Yeah,
of
yeah.
3D World or something? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
So
3D World, she's never played, so I would love
yeah,
to have
that
her
you the
experience that.
both of you can play that co-op, and like I've played that co-op a little bit. I mean, I never finished that game, but I've played it co-op with some friends, and that is a lot of fun because there's like there's almost like a mini game of seeing who there's this crown. You've never played in co-op that game?
No, I've never played
So
co-op.
so so there's this thing where it's like I think after you finish the first level, the game tells you who had the highest score, and then that person gets a crown. And so
Ah,
then you have the crown, but the other person can like steal the crown from you. And so whoever finishes the level with the crown on, then they get a bonus on top of their score. So it gets a little bit
oh wow.
competitive. So there's a lot of fun aspects to it. Again, I didn't went too deep into it, but I did play a little bit with my wife on the Wii U a while back. And like we got really competitive about it. She would like, you know, try to mess with my control and whatnot while we're playing. So yeah,
Oh,
that is
likes that
actually
type of
really
stuff for sure.
yeah, that game was really fun, 3D World for sure.
That, and I guess as a guilty pleasure, if I can find time, which I highly doubt I will, because come on, face it, this is Monster Hunter year.
Yep. Monster Hunter
But
Year, dude.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I think is coming out this year.
Yes.
And I played Mass Effect 2 no fewer than 8 times all the way through. That's how much I like that game.
Oh.
I
But
adored Mass Effect 2.
Did you play 1, 2, and 3 as well?
So I played 1 3 times all the way through. So 1 I enjoyed quite a bit.
Oh,
2
wow.
8 times. I really 2 is one of my favorite games of all time.
2 is brilliant. I love 2.
It's so good.
And I had something
everything
really
about the structure
bad.
of that game is just so good.
I had something really bad happen to me at the end of 2, and I had to live with that as I went into 3. Yeah, my Garrus died.
No.
Yeah, I played through.
That's when you start a new game.
No. I played
to an old save.
Because, like, to me, I like that series so much that it was like, no, this happened. This is my story, and in my story, Garrus died, and it friggin' sucked, and I hate it. But I'm playing 3 without Garrus, so yeah, that's what I did.
He's such a good guy. That's like one of those scenes where it's like I'd marry him. Like that's like he's husbando. Like he's a personality, history, thought process.
And this is why I hate
really
Jack.
Well written.
I hate Jack. I hate her.
Oh,
I hate her.
Natalie Portman?
Is it Natalie Portman that plays her? No,
it looks like Natalie Portman.
She does look like Natalie Portman.
It's a
but
shaved
I was like,
head.
She doesn't play her though.
No,
but
that was such a good game. God,
Jack was the reason why Garrus died, and I was like, I hate you forever. I'll never forgive you.
3 is one of those weird ones where I don't know if I've ever talked to you about it, but I love the franchise. So you'd assume going into 3 that I would play the crap out of it. And I dropped the game within 2 hours. It just did not feel right to me. I don't know what it was. Just something about just the opening prologue turned me off that hard that I didn't play the game.
Wow.
And I've tried twice already, and I just can't. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know what it is. Whether it was the controls, either it was Wii U or something at the time, but like
you played it on Wii U?
I think so. Maybe my memory is wrong.
Oh, okay. Because I played the whole thing on PC, so I had like all of my saves and stuff. So
but
that was
just the opening mission bugged me so much because like Mass Effect has always been that whole thing where you've got like it's like Star Trek, Star Wars, where like you've got everything going on, the world's on fire, the galaxy's on fire, the universe is on fire, but you've got these nice little personal stories in the middle that you're going through, and it's those personal stories that end up changing everything, right? But like immediately at the beginning of Mass Effect 3, it's like, oh, we're going big scale this time, boys, and it just felt completely unpersonal. It felt too big, too much, overwhelming. I don't know. There's something about it just didn't feel right to me. I think I played on Wii U and the performance was bad.
Yeah, I can see how it feels like that, particularly at the start. The start of Mass Effect 3 was very much like, oh yeah, we're going mainstream now. This is like a big deal. Like it was the more mainstream of Mass Effects, but I still enjoyed the journey. And I actually even enjoyed the ending, although there is that whole controversy about different endings. And yeah, I don't want to get too much into that.
It's not about the ending. It's about the journey there.
Yeah, I enjoyed the journey there, but a lot of people were upset about the ending and then they changed it and whatnot. And I was like, oh, it's okay, whatever. I mean, I don't mind either way. I didn't have a problem with it, but yeah.
So like I recently downloaded Mass Effect 1 again on the Xbox Series X just for kicks, but that game doesn't scale at all. Like it still plays like 30 FPS or whatever, and it doesn't look any good because they haven't touched it. It's just backwards compatible. You're still in the elevator for 2 minutes, you know, when you're going down in the Citadel. So like if they're going to give Mass Effect 2 a fresh coat of paint, I'll play it a 9th time. I don't care. I want it.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2 was very special. I agree. Out of the 3 of them, Mass Effect 2 is probably my favorite as well. Okay, you got any more games?
It was like a Seven Samurai like spaghetti western, you know, like one episode for every character, and you assemble the team, and then you go out for the final mission. This is cool.
It was pretty cool.
And that's it for what about you? What's on your list? I'm very curious to hear.
Okay, so number 1 with a bullet, obviously after we take out the Monster Hunter ones, Elden Ring, which I still believe it is coming out this year. We don't know. Nobody knows because there's very little news on it, but I believe it will be this year. I believe it might even be summer this year, which will be really hard because that means I probably won't
Well,
be
there's
able to
no
play
PS5s.
stories too.
Is it cross-plat or is it next gen? Oh, I keep calling it next gen because it's still not out. But is it next gen or is it current plat as well?
Last time that they announced it was just PS4, so I don't know what their plans are now. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're delaying it so much because they might
Wait,
be working
it's not
on
even
PS5.
on. It's not an Xbox.
What do you mean Xbox? Oh no, I just say
It's
PS4. It's current gen. It will be on Xbox. Yeah.
I
mean-
you got me
I mean,
scared.
Phil-
I'm like, what?
Phil Spencer even came out and said like I played a decent chunk of it, so it's like yeah, it's definitely on Xbox. Like
What if I don't get the PS5? Shit.
oh no, you'll be able to play it on the Xbox for sure.
Oh, you're gonna eat that stuff up when it comes out. That's gonna be.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the struggle when you have both Monster Hunter and something Dark Souls lish to play with. I can't wait to see how you juggle that.
Oh, so you're basically like you can't wait to see me struggle with my schedule, like murdering myself along in the process.
So when
Yeah.
you say summer, you better be knocking on wood because there's going to be way too much Monster Hunter in the summer.
Yeah, I
So
hope,
you'll be like, come on, come in the fall, come in the winter.
I hope it's later, or to be honest, I wouldn't even mind if it came out on not Monster Hunter year. That would even be better. But you know, it's one of those things. It's like if it does come out this year, it's definitely one of the ones that I'm super excited for. Then
Amen.
the other one is the next Final Fantasy 14 expansion. So I got into Final
You play
Fantasy
a lot
14.
of FF14?
I got into it in 2019, and I'm not kidding when I say that the story of that game throughout its multiple expansions has taken me to tears plenty of times. Like actual tears to the point where like if I watch the final cutscene of Shadowbringers, which is the last expansion, I will tear up. Like it's that the story of that game is that good. And there are very few games that can get me to that point, if any, even. Like if any. And Final Fantasy XIV got me to that point multiple times because it's just so masterfully crafted and the way in which they weave in the soundtrack of that game, which the soundtrack of that game is like the fact that it's never won an award is beyond criminal. It is I listen to that soundtrack even when I'm not playing it. Like I'll just have it playing in the background because I like it that much. And so that game, when the next expansion comes out, I have to play it. I don't care what else is happening. I need to play it. I need to see more of that story because that story was very special to me. And because of that,
talk about a glowing recommendation.
Oh yeah. And you want to know one of the kickers about Final Fantasy XIV is that right now they are offering the trial. It gives you access to their first expansion for free, which is one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever. It's called Heavensward. And you can play that whole thing for free. You don't have to pay the monthly fee of the MMO or anything like that. You can just play Realm Reborn and Heavensward for free, and it's insane. It's completely insane.
So here's a weird question. If someone was to start today and they wanted to just experience the story of that, how many hours do you think they would have to put in where they can clear that? If they were
all
to
the way
start from scratch?
all the way up into Heavensward, depending on depending on your level of experience, someone that's starting completely fresh, I would wager anywhere between 100 to 150 hours.
That's not too bad.
That's for free? That's
No,
amazing.
no, what I'm saying is, like, if someone's like, okay, I really want to play it, but I have to, in order to get through the expansion, it takes like 500-600 hours of leveling up. Like, it's an online game, but it's not like that bad. Like, that's doable. I mean, if someone's hearing this and they're hearing you go to tears, then like, come on, guys, get on it. 150 hours, you got it. Like, we got a month.
Here's the thing, like, that's Heavensward. Then there's Stormblood, and then there's Shadowbringers. So that all is probably like 500 plus hours or something like that to get to the.
Do you choose, or is it like chronological? Like you go one to the next?
It's 100% chronological, and you can't even if you can skip it, but you'll miss out on the story. Like you can buy like a character skip or whatever, but you miss out on a lot of the story. And like a lot of the reasons why I'm so emotionally invested is because I've been with these characters since the beginning. And so that's whenever something happens to one of those characters, it's like, it's very, oh my God.
Wait, do you mean like from the beginning, like when the game was a disaster, or beginning from like when it was reborn?
For me, it was from when it was reborn. I never played the 1.0, the disaster one, but some of those characters were there in 1.0 as well. So like someone who's been there since 1.0, they've been with those characters for even longer than the people that started with Realm Reborn.
I just say, like, I haven't played it, and my love for Final Fantasy has waned over the years as the direction of the series has changed. But I will say that 14 looks like it's going to go down as the best Final Fantasy of them all. I think it's the most beloved one. I have not met a single person who's like not totally in love with it that's played it.
Out of all, I mean, I haven't played that many Final Fantasies. Like I've played a significant chunk of 8. Didn't finish it, but I love it. I love 8. I never played the original 7. I played 7 remaster, and then I played 15, which I did like. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it a lot, but 14 is forget about it. It's the best.
Wow.
It's the best that I've ever played.
So I'm the backwards. I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Wow.
12, 13. 12,
Jesus.
13. I named my daughter after a Final Fantasy character.
Yeah, Yuna.
Yuna. That's where do you think the inspiration for that came? And I mean, luckily it's like one of the most common names ever in Japan, so it's not like I'm
It's not like it's a
calling her
big
some,
deal. Yeah.
like a really weird game name or something like that, which I still think is fine. But like I didn't play the online one, so like I was 11, so I never played that. And then 13 is where the divorce between me and FF happened, and I think 14 I never tried because I just don't do that business model. My life doesn't support the time that would be needed. I say that as someone who put in thousands of hours into Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So the irony is there. So and then 15 I bought, and I played a little bit, and it just wasn't for me. And then the next one is
I liked 15 a lot, but yeah. But
yeah,
funny you should bring up the next one because the reason why I'm so excited about this next game is because it is being made by the same team that made Final Fantasy 14 what it is. That is Final Fantasy 16. That is coming out this year.
Yoshi P, right?
Yep, Yoshi P. I'm super hyped. I'm super pumped. For the simple fact that this is the team that wrote the story of Shadowbringers that brought 14 to where it is. So I'm just like, I can't wait to see what you do with another number Final Fantasy now, dude. It's like, it's insane. So it's a huge year for Monster Hunter, but at the same time, it's a huge year for Final Fantasy as well. Because supposedly
That's
this
not coming out this year, is it?
What, 16?
Yeah.
Yes. At least it's announced for this year. So it's like you got a 14 expansion. Supposedly, I believe at least the 14 expansions coming out this year, and 16. Wow. That is insane.
Wow.
Again, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm getting some of this wrong, but like I'll know on like February 5th or 6th or whatever, they're having like their event for 14 where they're going to talk about the next expansion. So that'll be super interesting to see what's happening there.
Wow. I did not know it was coming that fast. I'm used to these big games. They announce them and they come out a decade later. So like,
did you see the trailer for 16?
I did, yes. And I looked
because
at 16. And I think I was a little disappointed at seeing people's reaction to it because I thought I was like, wow, it looks like they're pretty far along. It looks like they're doing in-game engines. It looks like they're, and I know the team, Yoshi's team, like kills it. So I'm like, how could you not be hyped? And then I saw some comments of people like, it doesn't. It just looks like another medieval fantasy game. And I'm like, well, it's Final Fantasy, guys. Come on, man. Like,
yeah, it's. I mean, it's
the
actually
fact that it's not like super J-poppy, like weird, like it's not out there. To me, I like. It feels more grounded. Like I can relate to these characters, maybe.
Like
I liked it a lot.
I'm 90% sure that is going to be a very vocal minority because most of the people that I've spoken to, they're like everybody's hyped for 16, especially because it is. I believe they're called Creative Business Unit 3 or whatever, especially because it is them behind the project mostly. And the thing that I really liked is that it looks like it's going to be R-rated, or I don't know what the rating is going to be, but it's going to be mature because the fact that you just see like a child get bathed in blood in the friggin' trailer. They just like cut somebody up right in front of a child and the blood like splatters right onto his face. Like that's going to be some really dark Final Fantasy stuff in there. So, and they're bringing in someone from that they used to work for Capcom that did combat for Devil May Cry and what's the other one? And Dragon's Dogma. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be hyped for 16. It's friggin' crazy.
Nice. Okay. Well, you got me interested.
The other one that, another game that I'm very excited, and it's like, for some strange reason, like there's a ton of Square games in my list today. is Outriders, which is a looter shooter. This one I'm curious about, but it's like because of the fact that looter shooters have been going down a path where it's like we had Anthem, which flopped, we had Marvel's Avengers, which flopped, we have Godfall, which has essentially flopped at this point as well. It's like here I am taking a chance on another one, but this one looks more solid. I don't know what to say. It's going to be crossplay, and it's got a bunch of stuff that they're talking about, so I'm curious about it. Then
Interesting. I haven't played any of these games. I didn't even hear about. I don't even know what this game is.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess
it's not.
is it person
Outriders.
competitive stuff or is it co-op?
No. It's co-op. It's 3-player co-op.
Okay.
I like these co-op games. Like I really like co-op games. So yeah. Then the other one that I have on my list is Near Replicant. Like
that's a remaster or is it a remake? It's a remaster, right?
I think it's more of. I think it's kind of like a remake. I'm pretty sure it's a remake. Okay. I never played the
remake,
original,
but
Nier.
not like re-envisioning or anything. It's an authentic remake.
Yeah, it's an authentic remake. I never played the original.
Just destroyed the term remake now, which I don't know about.
Yes,
because we used to say remaster was like a fresh coat of paint, like Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Remake meant that they made the same game, but they made it using a more up-to-date engine and much better assets. But now, like when you say remake, people are like, "Oh, you're re-envisioning it." I'm like, "No, that's not what I mean." But yeah,
Final Fantasy VII Remaster is almost like a reboot in a lot of ways. But
yeah, because what's funny is I didn't even play it. I watched a lot of it on YouTube, and
that game plays like
a dream. Like the FF7 I played when I was in high school.
Dude, that game plays like a dream. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good stuff about the game.
But Near Replicant, because I loved
Nier.
I loved what was it called? Nier Automata. Nier Automata was amazing. Which, by the way, Final Fantasy XIV has like a collab with Nier Automata. Like there's 2 whole raids.
Wow.
Just around Nier Automata, which is amazing. And there's going to be a 3rd raid around Nier Automata on like some of the last patches of the thing.
It's a real shame we never got a quest like that in Monster Hunter World. Like, can you imagine if you had a 2B skin and like a longsword?
Oh
yeah,
would have
been hype.
Yeah, dude, they should have done something like that.
Too saucy for Capcom? No way.
No, dude, no way.
No way.
But we're gonna have some more to talk about that when we get into Monster Hunter Land as well, because I have some topics to go over. But finally, the last one that I have on my the last one that I have on my list is Horizon Forbidden West, which is
that's the second. Sheesh.
That's the second Horizon Zero Dawn, and I love the original. I never finished the DLC that they made, but like the original story, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was interesting because
one of the best openings to a game, I think.
Yeah,
the father-daughter thing that I really liked.
It was very good, and the thing about that game was that it came out on the same year as Breath of the Wild. So like at the time, I was still doing like top lists of the year. And so Breath of the Wild came out on top because I value gameplay more than anything else. And I think that the gameplay of Breath of the Wild was brilliant because it made open worlds much more fun, right? Whereas Horizon Zero Dawn was much more formulaic, like here's all these things in the map that you can go and do. But I thought that the story of Horizon Zero Dawn was way better than the story of Breath of the Wild. Just like the story of that game was brilliant to me. So Forbidden West. Did I
ever tell you how I got turned off from it? Well, I like the game and I'm a supporter of it, but I was hyped because it was like, oh my god, we're gonna be like mecha hunters, you know?
Yeah. I actually
was really hyped.
It's funny you should say. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I was at E3 on the year that one of the years that I got to basically interview the developers. And one of the questions that I just flat out asked them was like, so you guys took a lot of inspiration from Monster Hunter, right? And they were like, yup. They weren't even shy, but they're like, yup, we definitely did. I was like, I can tell, because it looks like you're hunting these mechanized monsters. Really well done. But go ahead.
The thing that turned me off, though, like the first game was really weird, was I loved the intro, and I thought that was beautifully done. And I was invested in the characters. I loved the initial part. I loved the initial part of the story. Go to that first village, like outpost playing. Everything was great. And then when the game started turning away from humans versus machines, and it was more like it was a really deep human story of like
Oh
how
yes.
shitty humans are, like humans versus humans. And I was worried about that when I saw the trailer. And then when that started unfolding, I immediately lost interest in as a game. As a story, I was interested in. I watched it all on YouTube. Even though I bought the game, I just didn't play it because I don't know if we talked about this. There's something about the human versus human conflict as a gameplay mechanic doesn't work for
You don't
me.
like
It's
it.
not like something consciously I think about. It just turned me off. Like I don't want to kill people. I want to kill monsters. But I watched the story on YouTube and I enjoyed it. So like people go, wait, you like the game, but you never played 80% of it or 90% of it. I'm like, yeah, you can like a game
Yeah.
and not play. Like I played enough to appreciate the initial part of the system, and I thought it was really well crafted, and I could see where that's gonna
Oh,
be.
you should have.
I'm happy to see it evolve because man, that team really made
You
that game
should have
looks
seen.
gorgeous.
Yeah, you should have seen some of the later fights that you do because it really brings out that monster hunter side of you. Because like you see the monsters and you can see the paths that they take, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put some traps here, and I'm gonna do so. Yeah, you actually just literally set up like these explosive traps so that you plan things out so that when you would shoot the monster would come running at you, and you would go through a path that would go through your traps and stuff like that. And then like on the bigger monsters, like there's one I think it's called the Thunderjaw, and you would have like these special arrows that would break off parts of them, and so you could break off weapons, and then you would
Yeah, and
steal
then pick
their
'em up and use
weapons
them.
and then shoot them back at them. Dude, it was brilliant. I love the combat in that game. That game was freaking wild. I loved it. I think I even platinumed it. I liked it so damn much. I just kept going until I had everything done. And then I was still playing
There's
it
a
again
lot
like
of
in
games
New
coming
Game
out
Plus.
this year.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked. Wow. I did not realize all these were coming out this year.
Yeah.
I guess this holiday season is going to be the official launch of this gen. So I mean, but wow.
They might not end up all coming out this year because COVID is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like right now, Portugal is considered, I think, the worst country in the world when it comes to COVID because we have so
Oh,
many
wow.
people dying over here over it. So yeah, we're like Europe put us in this deep red list of like don't travel to this country unless you absolutely have to. So it's like don't travel in or out. So we can't even leave the country anymore unless there's like some big reason why we have to leave the country. It's pretty wild. It's kind of crazy.
And here I am. I'm getting scared, and we're panicking over. We have about 100 deaths a day now, which is crazy for Japan. We've hit like 5,200 deaths. So
I think we've
Ugh.
had like 300 today alone or something like that. It's
oh my gosh,
freaking crazy. It's insane.
that's scary.
And like 10,000 new cases. It's insane. So stay safe out there,
If you're,
people.
yeah, I was
Wear
gonna say if you're listening, stay safe,
wear a
guys.
mask,
And
please. Like,
sorry if you are affected. My thoughts are out to everybody.
but let's not dwell on the negative aspects of
Yes.
life too much. Let's move on and get
lot-
people cheery.
There's a
and
lot of
happy.
good reasons to stay home this year.
Yeah.
My gosh.
So speaking of which, I hear you've been trying out something new with Yuna recently. Talk
Yeah,
to me
so
about it.
Okay, so she's in this weird point where she's almost done with school because school here in Japan ends in March. That's the end of the school year, and they start the school year in April. It's immediate. There's no summer break in between it. They go straight into a new year. So she's going from elementary to middle school because middle school here starts at 7th grade. Where in like America, I think 6th grade maybe is middle school. It's different everywhere.
I think in
But,
Portugal it's 5th. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
while.
Yeah. So she's been having a lot of time in her hands. I don't think she has a lot of friends right now with the whole situation with the pandemic. So there's not like people coming over and playing and stuff like that. So she's played the Monster Hunter Rise demo at this point over, I think, 150 hours. Like we've put in a lot of time in that. We've played it enough where I think we feel like we're beating the dead Mitsune at this point.
And not only that, there's also the concern, at least the concern that I have, that you kind of
Burnout.
like start burning out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've also
So we
been
started
kind of
feeling
like
like
stopping.
we've done what we want to do in it. And so she's like, I'm bored. She's like, I want something new to dig into. I want something new to think about. And I said, why don't you try Monster Hunter World? I mean, we've got Game Pass. You can play it. And she's like, huh, I didn't even realize that I could do that. I was like, we'll play it together. So I've been getting her just in the last few days, but getting her playing Monster Hunter World. So right now we're in low rank still. We've played for about 5 hours, I think. So we're at the point where we've hit the Rotten Vale. and we're in there right now. So she's been having a good time. She was ecstatic to get the. I bought her the charm of the
I,
nightshade
s-
Paolumu that follows her around. She loves Paolumu. She
I,
always
s-
has.
I
So the
saw
thing is
the
like a little balloon. It's so cute.
I saw the video on Twitter. If you guys haven't, you guys aren't following Gaijin on Twitter, there's a link in the description of this video. But like, you guys should definitely check that. It's like Yuna's just like running around, little balloon Palu. I never got the little balloon ones, but I thought they looked pretty cool as well. Yeah.
She's gonna run out of hard drive space because she keeps taking videos and screenshots. Because in every cutscene, that thing is like floating over people's faces and stuff, and it's just so funny. And she loves, so she keeps taking all these pictures and stuff. She's like, "Oh my god, you got to see this! Oh my god, you got to see this!"
I can already see it. The commander being like all stern and stuff, and suddenly like little nightshade Palu
floating around. Yeah. So yeah, we've been
crazy.
playing World, and I think we're gonna play that probably until the end. She told me today when she comes home from school, she's like, "I want to play World when we come home." I'm
Ooh,
like,
she's getting into it.
"I want to play." I come home, I want to play Monster Hunter. Hello, dream come
Yep,
true.
pretty
Are you
much.
kidding me?
Like I hope
She's
that
hooked.
by the time my kid gets to be 12, he's also going to be like, "Hey, Dad, I can't wait to get home. Let's go play some Monster Hunter." It's like, yeah,
I
that
know.
is the dream.
I hear that. I'm like, yes, ma'am. So today we'll be
Did
playing.
you
I imagine we'll probably get to the Elder Recess today.
did you start and wait? You're still on low rank. How are you going to get? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
going to go all the way? Or you going to go just burn through high rank all the way to Elder's Recess?
Well, we got the defender weapons, and it's like the most
Oh,
hilarious.
right.
It's the most hilarious broken thing
Yeah,
ever. If you just want to unlock stuff, but you know what? She actually enjoys that because she's not looking to go in and like have to craft. She's like, I'm going to do that in Rise.
Yeah, you're
She's
gonna do
super
that.
hyped for Rise. So
She
why
just
burn
wants to
yourself out?
see. Yeah.
You know, it's for this point. It's about getting her familiar with the monsters and getting more in love with them, and she's having a good time there.
So what I wanted to ask was like, did you start a new character or did you use your
I did,
existing?
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's
I started a brand new character with her.
because like you would destroy. Like I did that for a friend of mine because he's like, oh, I just want to like burn through it and just like go real fast. And I was like, okay, check out how fast you can go. I go in there, slam, full
Oh,
burst. Monsters damn near dead from just like a slam and a full burst. Like Jesus.
No, I want her to have fun. So
Disgusting.
like even I will hold back a little bit in the hunts because I know the monsters really well.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's more like I want her to have the fun of getting in there and going crazy. But the defender armor is so powerful that we haven't used a single potion yet,
Yeah,
which is really hilarious.
you kind of don't have to, particularly if you have because it's two of you, so you have the palicos, and if you just bring like the vigor wasps, like it just auto heals you. It's not even a thing.
She's using
What?
the bow. She's having a good time with the bow. She really likes the Brumble on the Dragon Piercer, which I agree with. Like that's the one thing I wish was in Rise was a Rumble feature because it feels really good. She's like,
rum-
Dad, my controller's freaking out. Like,
Oh yeah. When it's charging the dragon piercer, right?
oh, that's great.
But the final product is going to have rumble. Sure. I mean, GU
I
has
don't
rumble.
know.
I'm pretty sure GU
I don't
even
know.
has rumble. Yeah, it does. I think I
Yeah,
think it's
well,
one of the announced features of GU is even age the rumble.
I don't know if it's going to be in Rise. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't recall seeing it listed anywhere. I know that if you play it on Switch Lite, there's no Rumble in the Lite.
Oh, the light
But
doesn't
it's
have
not-
rumble.
No,
Oh, that sucks. And she's going to be playing it in the light.
no. She plays on regular Switch on TV.
Oh,
She
okay.
doesn't play in portable. I'm the person who plays in portable.
Okay. So she's gonna have rumble. I'm 90% sure that Rise is gonna have rumble. There's no way. But she'll
So
get
that'd
to
be nice.
experience that. Yeah. Pretty sure she'll get to experience. Now I was curious, what
But-
weapon are you playing?
Oh, so I started out like I usually do when I just want to be lazy in World because I've done a lot. I've done like started a new game. This is like my fifth time. So
Oof.
usually I just go with hammer.
Oh, dude,
Hammer's just so good.
hammer is just so fun in World. Dude.
Like for the early game, I think it's the perfect weapon because you don't need anything on that sucker, and you just knocking stuff out. And if you're doing it proper, if you just make the Puke hammer, like you're good. Like you're good. Now this one has like blast, the defender one. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just goofing around, like I'm just like walking around watching Yuna fight the monster. Every now and then I do a spinny move and I knock it out, and it's good
Like
fun.
spinning bludgeon with blast attached to it. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But she's so funny. She's got the spirit right that like we kill a monster, and the very first thing she does is whip out the fishing rod, and she's hitting me in the head with it.
I didn't know you
You
could
could
do
whip out
that.
the yeah, you could whip out the fishing rod when you're not. It looks like she's fencing me or something. Like it's really funny.
I
I
had
will upload
no
a
idea.
clip of that if I have it.
I had no idea that was a thing that you could even do. But
She
I
really
because
enjoyed the Zora Magdaros hunt, believe it or not. She said that so far has been her
the
highlight. She had the
the
most fun
first
on that
one,
one.
the
Yeah, the
very
rappel
first Zora
mission.
Magna, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about those missions, which is I always hear people like complain about them and like, oh, I don't like this mission. And I feel that a big reason why people don't like those missions is because they're playing it solo. Like those missions are
Yeah.
clearly designed for you to be able to like play with several players and enjoy it with
Oh, it
several.
was really fun. It was my first time doing it like side by side with somebody. And it's like, you got, oh, I got the cannonballs. You're helping each other
Yeah,
out. Okay, I'll take this one. You take that one. And then when you're on site, it's like, I don't know where the other core is. Over here. And you're running around like a madman looking for stuff. It was good fun.
that's the thing. I just kind of wish that the Zora Magdaros fights, particularly the later one, would
Yeah.
actually involve or at least give you more rewards for putting in more effort. So like I think what would be cool is to actually have the necessity of players going back into Zora Magdaros instead of just staying outside spamming cannons. Like there should be a reason for you to go back in there because you can go and break the molten core on top of his head. You can break it
Yeah.
twice or three times or however many it is. You can go down into his hands or whatever, and then you can chop away at his belly. Like there's several positions for you to go back into Zora Magdaros, and most players don't even know that you can do that. Like a lot of people don't
Yeah.
even know because after that you reach that point of the fight, they just sit there and they just spam cannonballs. It's just like I think that fight could have been a lot more interesting if Capcom made it more interactive because they haven't. It's just okay. Guess we're equipping heavy artillery and spamming cannons and whatnot.
Yeah. I kind of lament that we don't have something like Jen Moran because that I did side by side with other people, and boy, is that fun. It's like, oh, I got up. I'm on. Okay, I'm stuck here. I'm just, I'm on the ship. It's cool. Okay, about to gong. Yeah, watch out. Ever bong, and like everyone flies off. You're like, what are you doing? It's so fun.
Yeah, it's stuff that actually requires you to coordinate with other players. I feel like is much more.
Communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's much more interesting. So yeah, if they put more of that into fights like Zora Magdaros, I feel like that could have been done much better.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to take it all the way up to Elder's Recess. What do you think she's going to say
Yeah.
when
I
she
think.
sees
I think.
Dorogama?
Well, she wants to get to the Steamworks because she likes the Steamworks a lot.
Oh,
She's done that at
dude,
my game.
that's like the best, one of the best cinematics that they've done. Whenever that thing is, it's so cool.
Yeah. So I think she wants to get to Celiano. So I think we'll bust into Iceborne, and then we'll start putzing around, and I'll see how far she wants to go. She might want to go all the way. But I think we're at this point we're being cautious to not burn ourselves out because we're
Yeah,
both super hyped for Rise.
yeah, and it's like if you play too much Monster Hunter, you might get to Rise and be like,
Mm.
oh, it's the same thing. It's a different game, but it's kind of the same thing. So it is healthy
Yeah.
to get to a point where it's like, okay, let's keep our energy, let's keep our hype, so that when we're
Yeah, we're
going to
just
Rise,
dabbling and keeping ourselves
yeah.
busy, having a fun time. And she's getting to see the monsters more, which is really fun for her.
But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super jealous. Super, I can't wait to one day hopefully be able to do that with my son if he is interested, or my daughter if she is interested in
It's good.
checking out
And
Monster
just so
Hunter.
you people know, she's been around Monster Hunter her whole life because I mean I play it so much. I've never like said, "Hey, you should try Monster Hunter." Like I've never like she picks up what she picks up, and
Yeah,
she's the one who said, "I want to play this with you." She's like, "I've been wanting to get into the series. I watch you play it. I love the monsters. I like the music." She's like, "I want to try this out," and so I got really nervous, hoping that she would like it because if she doesn't like it, hey, she doesn't like it. But she tried the
yeah,
Rise demo, and like I'm telling you, it's because they put Mizutsune in that demo. Uh, was the thing that really hooked her. She loves that monster. So she's like, I want to
Interesting.
get good enough to I can hunt this thing alone. Now she's like,
Hmm.
I want to get good enough where I can get sub 15. I really like
Oh,
this
dude.
monster.
She's gonna be a speedrunner, dude. She's
No,
gonna be
I showed her a speedrun video and she's like, I don't like that. She's like, where's the
okay.
fun in locking down a monster? She's like, I like the idea of watching it fling around. I like the, the sweaving in and out of the bat. She's like, why did you want the hunt to end fast? She's like, the hunt is the fun part. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you sweet summer child. So, but she
That
can sub 15 on easily, and she can kill it alone, which is impressive without carding. So she knows, and she doesn't even use all the moves, which is from someone who knows Monster
and
Hunter. It's kind of like, oh my god, you're not even using this move, and it's like it bugs you a little bit, but it's like it doesn't matter. You just
but it's
find
like
what you play however you want.
she's using the bow.
She's solo it with the hunting horn, dual blades,
Oh,
and the
okay.
bow,
Oh
but she's using the
wow.
bow primarily.
Dual blades and bow, two weapons that, benefit greatly from having elemental damage and not having that damage in this
Yeah.
demo. And she's still just like comfortably sub 15ing it. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're having a blast,
She
with
ta-
everything there. So, but the thing is, I mean, she likes the monsters so much, and now she's telling me that if we ever move to an apartment where we can have musical instruments, because we can't, because we live like in a 4-house apartment, so you can't have pets and you can't play instruments, because of noise regulations and stuff. She's like, I want to learn how to play the shamisen.
that's
She
the
legit wants to learn how to play. That's
the instrument that goes dang, 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 dang. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
that's awesome.
And
That
she's
is
like,
awesome, man.
I want to be able to play the theme for, well, it's Tamamitsune in Japanese, but I want to play the theme for Mizutsune. She's like, hey, you played clarinet, flute, and saxophone growing up. She's like, why don't you pick up the shakuhachi, the flute? We can one day we can play it together. I'm like, okay. She's in love. It's so nice seeing someone fall in love
and
with
then
Monster Hunter.
and then you guys can also play like the Naruto theme.
I don't know Naruto, so I
Okay.
know of Naruto and I know like the run and the meme, but that's about it.
It's also got like some, I assume it's some flute instrument, and then there's some shamisen in there as well in some of the action scenes. So yeah, you guys could play that as well. Like I don't know, that's some music of that series. I didn't even watch that series that much, but some of the music kind of sticks with you because it's also got the shamisen and the flutes and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I like it. But
So yeah, we got her, guys. We got her. She's hooked.
what do you think she's gonna say when she gets the Dorogama though?
I don't think I know her taste pretty well, and I don't think that's.
You don't think she's gonna care? She's gonna just like
I don't think she's
brutally
blow it up.
slaughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
good
could be
to know.
wrong, but I know I'm pretty good at judging what she reacts to, and I don't think she likes lizards, snakes, Paolumu. She loves like Tobi Kadachi. Like she likes those type of things, and she also likes amphibians a lot. So if like
She's gonna
Tetsukabra
love
is in
baby
the game, she's
Tetsukabra,
going
dude.
to love Tetsukabra.
But yeah,
So
that's good because that blue bastard needs to get blown up. There's too many people like, oh no, don't hurt poor little Dorogama. No, you kill him just like you kill everything else, and you chop his tail and you break his face. It's that simple. That's
I'd
what
say the
needs to
one good
happen.
thing about playing the game with defender weapons is that you don't make anything for your hunter because everything is just unbelievably weaker compared to it, right?
Yeah,
Um, so what that means is that we can go after every quest and make all the Palico gear. And
there is.
she's really having a fun time because the Palico gear, we both agree, is like much more adorable than the hunter gear. Like they did such a good job.
They
So
did.
she's every hunt, she's like, I'm using this on my Palico. Then the next one, oh, I'm using this on my Palico. And it's just,
So let me tell you where your problems are going to be as someone who has played through the game with defender weapons on PC to just like rush the Iceborne. You're gonna get
yeah.
the Iceborne. You're gonna want to craft the weapon, and you're not gonna have low rank material.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't mind
happens.
that if I have to go.
Then you have to go back to low rank, kill the monster in low rank. Then you have to go to high rank, kill the monster in high rank, and then eventually
Uh,
go to master rank and kill the monster in master rank. That's the problem with using the defender weapons and not crafting stuff. That's what I found when I
Yeah.
got to the PC version. I'd be like, oh crap, I want to do a Rathalos sword and shield. Well, got to go kill low rank Rathalos, high rank Rathalos in order to get the materials to craft everything all the way. That's the problem with the But yeah.
It's also really funny seeing the desire sensor in full motion here, because I can care less about what's on my hunter, right? Like, I've played World enough, and I'm the one getting all the damn plates. Every time we hunt, I'm the one getting them, and she's never gotten one yet, and I've gotten like 6. I'm just like, this is so stupid.
Oh, and when you get to high rank, you're gonna get all the spikes, and then when you get to master rank, you're gonna get all the rubies.
The game just knows how to punish.
Yep, pretty much. Desire sensor all the way.
Always knows.
But it's good to hear that Yuna's enjoying Monster Hunter World as much as she is. A lot of times people ask me, "Hey, I feel like I'm late to Monster Hunter World," and
never late.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're never late to Monster Hunter World because it's not a games as a service. It's not like the game's going away. Like, as a matter of fact, we even talked, now is actually a really good time to start because all of the events are live and they're going to be live on rotation for the foreseeable future. Oh, yeah. So you literally have access to the stuff that we would have to wait for. Back when the game was still like in its regular content cycle, we would have to wait. Oh, we got to wait for like the festival to come around. It's like now there's festivals literally every week.
All the time.
So it's like...
It's never been a better time, yeah. And especially if you don't, oh, my friends aren't playing. I was like, playing solo in World is by far the easiest game to play solo with. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. If there's no bandwagon, don't worry. One man bandwagon works just well.
Yeah, it's not really a problem for. So to everybody that's ever asked, hey, is it too late for me to get into World? It's never too late. Okay, and it's probably never going to be too late because it's a standalone game. It's not games as a service. And now they've even made some of the bosses in Master Rank, like Safi Jiva, you can now solo that, even though I tried soloing that.
I've heard that
it ain't easy.
Heard that it's not really soloable.
It's soloable, but you're going to have to probably do like 2 or 3 runs because you still have to drain the energy of the levels, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. But, I mean, if you want to make it soloable, then let people solo it easier, not force them to
and 1 or 2 runs, not like making them.
Yeah, you have to grind all of the energy down. Well, not all of it, but at least enough to the point where you can comfortably kill it. Like, I've seen people kill it in 1 run, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be doing with every weapon. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, I'm super happy that Yuna's enjoying it. So one of the things that a lot of people have asked us is for our thoughts on possible collaborations that we might see in Monster Hunter Rise. And before we talk about that, I wanted to bring up a different topic because on the topic of collaborations, like in World, we had a lot of great collaborations, right? We had the Witcher 3 one, which was fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, I like
the quest that they did, where you were kind of like playing detective and all of that stuff. We had the Final Fantasy one as well. We had Assassin's Creed. We have tons of collabs, but the Final Fantasy one, I think, is potentially one of the most important ones because it actually went both ways. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw the Rathalos and FF4 It was great.
So it's like, I actually played that in 2019 when I got to that expansion and I grinded it and I have the Rathalos mount in Final Fantasy 14, which basically meant I had to kill Rathalos on maximum difficulty 50 times to get that mount. There's a chance of getting it. Sooner.
Chance. Quotes around the chance.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I was at around 45 or something, 1 Rathalos dropped and I passed it so that somebody else could get it because I'm like, I'm 45 in. What's another 5 more? It's not going to make a difference. So I just kept on going. But yeah, I farmed it. But you want to know what's the really cool thing about the Rathalos 5 and 14? Is that experienced 14 players would have a harder time than me fighting Rathalos when I wasn't even that experienced. Like, I hadn't even reached level cap.
It was the same in World, right? With Behemoth. Like, people experienced in those games had a much easier time because they imported not just the monster, but the mechanics and the feel of the hunt.
So, like, Rathalos, there's no tank. Like, you know how in MMOs there's always a tank? In Rathalos, there is no tank. He just, like, randomly attacks people. but he's got all the same tells of a Rathalos in Monster Hunter World.
Oh, that's great.
So like you could see, okay, he's gonna do the tail swipe, and it was funny because I would
know
run
it.
away because I could see what the hitbox was, so I would run away, and I would see the Final Fantasy 14 players just like jumping, and it's like
Get
whoosh,
wasted.
it's like everybody get wasted.
Get out of here.
It was really fun. I had a complete blast, and you get to break the tail. You don't chop it off, but you get to break the tail, and you had to break the
Nice.
tail because that's what gave you the special item that would then let you trade for the mount. So when he would go down, you'd have to specifically target the tail to go attack. There were just so many. There was even a mounting phase. So like someone would actually have to mount Rathalos to prevent him from killing the entire party. So there's a lot of really fun stuff about that fight. I really, really loved it. And I just thought if we're talking collaborations, I should bring that up. Like that is impressive. I'm not sure if you've ever actually seen the fight itself happening.
Yeah. I've watched a few videos. It seemed really interesting.
It is. And you get a Palico. You get a Palico as a pet that follows you around all the time.
So
as
do
well.
you do you think there will be collaboration quests in Rise where it's not just like a quest, but there's actually like a story, like an interactive quest, like they did in World?
I don't know, but I hope so because I thought that was really fun. I thought that was some of the better quests in terms of collabs like the Witcher stuff and whatnot. I thought that was really cool. And there's one particular game that I really hope that they do something special with. But we'll talk about that because so I put down a list of the stuff that I think might happen in collaborations and the things that I want to see and that makes sense on the platform. But first, I want to hear from you. What do you think are going to be the collaborations, and what would you like to see?
God, I almost think we should start with you. It's something I've never even thought about it.
Okay, so we'll
Honestly,
start. We'll start with me then, and you get some time to think about it. So the ones that
There's
I
only
think
one that pops in my mind. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's only one immediately when you mention it. There's got to be an Okami collab. Come on, I know it's Capcom, but with Amaterasu as the wolf, it looks like a Palamute.
yeah.
We could and it's the Japanese theme. Like we could have it more than just a skin for your dog. There could be like an actual collaboration thing. That would be pretty sweet.
Hmm. I didn't even think of Okami. It never even came up. Okami's on the Switch, right? It's also available on the Switch, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the ones that I pointed down, and these are like pretty obvious, I feel like, because there's already stuff like this, I think, even in GU. So Breath of the Wild, I think that's a pretty obvious one. We're probably going to see a collab
Yeah, and I
with
think
Breath
in
of
this
the
one,
Wild.
I will define like in the older games like GU, when we say collaboration, is like there was a quest, not a
Yeah.
special monster, and like there was special gear or armor. It's not like integrating the characters like Witcher or Behemoth or anything like that.
Yeah. But I was just talking about like,
So yeah,
traditional
Nintendo stuff for
collabs.
sure because it's on Switch, so there's gonna be tons of
So it's
collab
like,
stuff with Nintendo. We got to get the Metroid gun again. Come on,
yeah. So
the
those
Lipo
were the
gun.
those were the things that instantly came to mind. It's like Breath of the Wild, Metroid, Fire Emblem. Those are like super easy things, right? Like you can get
Yeah.
a sword and shield from Fire Emblem, maybe a long sword from Fire Emblem. You can get the Fire Emblem armor, stuff like that. I think that's going to be no brainers because, Nintendo characters
Yeah.
are super emblematic. So I think that's a pretty no brainer for Capcom. But then stuff that I want to see and that also makes sense. Now, this one is very important for me and I hope that they do something. Xenoblade.
Well, we already had the Xenoblade Switch axe in the demo.
No, that's not. That's not like everybody calling that thing the Monado, and I'm like, no, it's not. No, that's not the Monado. I want the real Monado. I don't want fake Monado.
As someone who doesn't really know much about Xenoblade or has never played it, aesthetically, it looks like a Xenoblade weapon.
It does. It does look aesthetically like the Monado, but it's not. Okay, it's not. And it's like I want either the actual Monado or the one from the Ignis sword from Xenoblade 2, like anything. I think that would be cool. Maybe an armor set for Rex because that's the one that's the most recent one, or Shulk because there's even like an amiibo for Shulk. So there's plenty of crossover potential there. So I hope that they do that. So that is something that to me I think makes sense. Then there's
That sounds nice.
potentially Bravely Default, like we just talked about Bravely Default earlier. That's also another game that is on the console.
Well, how about this one? I'm gonna tickle your senses here. We know that the producers at Capcom are friends with Yoshi P, which is exactly why they went crazy with their promotion with Behemoth and everything in the
Yeah.
world. What's stopping them from working with him for Final Fantasy 16? I guess no, because that's a PS exclusive. And this is a
Exactly.
Switch. That would ruin. No, that wouldn't. Never mind. I
Yeah,
didn't think
like
before I spoke.
because like I was thinking up everything because I was like, well, I mean, they did the collaboration with Final Fantasy before on PS4, and that would make sense, but I don't know what.
I just realized something. They always do, not Biohazard, Resident Evil crossovers, right? Are we gonna have sexy vampire costumes?
They
Crossover
do.
between
Oh yeah,
Resident Evil Village. We can have the vampire girls as armor, maybe.
yeah, because we did get. I almost forgot, but we did get like it was Leon and Jill. Yeah, it was Jill and Leon
Oh,
in World.
like the heck with
And
the heck with the heroes. I want to be a zombie girl, like vampire girl. I don't know. Are they zombies or vampires? I don't even know.
they're
I just call them
vampires.
vampire girls.
Well, one of them is a vampire at least. I don't know if all of them.
I
are
want a
vampires.
hunter skin. I want to become one of them. Come on, make it happen.
I mean, that is a Capcom thing, so that is possible. And Resident Evil 7 was on Switch in Japan using like cloud streaming technology. So who knows if they do something similar for Village. I don't know how successful that was because that was a really weird business model with the renting of the thing, and I don't know, that was weird.
Yeah.
So how about instead of sexy vampires, how about sexy
Get my head out of the clouds.
no, how about sexy lady with guns in her feet?
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta. It's a
Bayonetta,
Switch
yeah.
exclusive. I could see it.
I
could.
I could see it. That would be fun. I would dig it.
I think
Bayonetta
that
is another one of those things I don't get into character. Did I ever tell you that I didn't realize it was called a character action game? Like that's the genre name for it. Like I've never gotten it. That's apparently the official
Character
name for like Devil May
action?
Cry, Bayonetta character action game, where it's a
I called
it's
them
an
something
arcade action
different.
combo based game focused on a character.
I called them something else. I called them spectacle fighters because that's what they are. It's just spectacle. You just
makes
fight
sense.
and there's spectacle all the friggin'
They're
time.
stylish.
Yeah.
Like I don't typically get into those types of games, but I appreciate them and I like them. And I'm happy
dude.
that, and I like the characters. So Bayonetta, I think
Bayonetta.
would be pretty sweet.
Bayonetta is so friggin'
And
awesome. And they're gonna have Bayonetta 3. I think that's another game that's coming out this year, by the way. I think.
What? Man, 2021
Isn't
is the
it?
year that keeps giving.
Oh no, wait, that one's not been
Yeah.
confirmed. I think Bayonetta 3 has not been confirmed. But I think they're teasing it. So it might be. I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, Bayonetta 3, I'm also super hyped because like I played Bayonetta 1, played Bayonetta 2, love those games. I friggin' love them. Like Bayonetta is just a very satisfying character to play.
Weird. Yeah, all I'm seeing is Platinum Games is teasing some 2021
Yep.
announcement on their site.
Exactly.
So
which
maybe.
which might be Bayonetta 3. And then the other one that I noted down is I don't know if you've played this game. It's called No More Heroes.
I know of it. Travis, right?
Dude, yeah, Travis Touchdown. I love
With his
No More
like with
Heroes.
his like light bulb saber thing. And
That he has to like chug it. Doot, 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 doot. And
that's
it
Grasshopper,
goes,
right?
yeah, dude.
Is that Suda?
Yeah, it's Suda 51.
Yeah.
I love the original No More Heroes. I never finished the second one, and the thing that he did, what was he did like an offshoot of something. Travis something. I forget. He did some. It did a spin-off game for the Switch, which I played, and then in my review video, I basically said, "Not No More Heroes." It's like this game is not. I don't know what this is. It's not No More Heroes. But like I could see that it's some insanity that was going through Suda's mind, and I can see like what is interesting about it, but it didn't catch my attention like previous No More Heroes games. So I'm super happy that 3 is coming to the Switch. Which, by the way, that is actually a game that's coming out 2021. God damn it.
What is wrong with this year? There's just too many games.
There's no way they're gonna have to delay some of these, dude. There's not enough time
Yeah.
in the year to play all of these games. That's just completely and utterly insane. But yeah, No More Heroes. I think it'd be fun to get like his beam katana, which is yeah. So you've never played those? It's a damn shame. You're missing out.
Nah.
They released them on Switch recently. I actually have to go buy them still. I'm waiting for like a promotion or something. Buy all of those.
There's
But
too
they're
many games these days. It's like there's so many that you can just not play and miss out on, unfortunately. It's a good
yeah.
thing and a bad thing, right? You always have
We're
something to
spoiled.
play, but there's also like it's an overwhelming rush of content. I remember, man, I'm just feeling old. Just when we were kids, there was like what 10 games a year. So like you
Yeah.
had the one that you got.
And you would have to like squeeze out all the little bit of fun that you could out of that game. You would play every
Oh yeah.
mode, everything, and then you would
I
play it
ran every
again.
wall, jumped on every platform.
Yep. You would have to squeeze those games. Like nowadays, we're spoiled for choice. There's just so many. But yeah,
Those are good choices though for collabs. I like that.
those are my collaboration ideas. That's all the ones that I could think of. But who knows? Like, I think they'll surprise us. Like, one of the things that I never expected in World was Assassin's Creed. I'm like, what? And then on top of it, Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed, and they pick Bayek, and I'm like, you don't even pick the current Assassin's Creed characters? It's so weird. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a little bit weird, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I'm curious, because World obviously was focused so much on the global audience that I think they specifically paired with some IP that is stronger overseas than perhaps in Japan. Stuff like The Witcher, I don't think they would ever have done if there wasn't a focus on it being a global title. Rise, I want to say that I think they're Japan focused, but in the same time they're not because the way that they're treating the West is like first class citizen at the table. So it's interesting. I don't know what we're going to get in Rise. I'm curious if we're going to get the same amount of depth with the collaborations, especially like we said, like development being so challenged with
Yeah.
pandemics and stuff. I don't know how that works,
Dude,
but we'll get some cool gear, that's for sure.
whatever they do, Xenoblade needs to be there. If Xenoblade is not there, I'm going to be very, very sad. I'm going to be very disappointed, Ryozu. Okay? Wait,
We'll
Ichinozi
have
is
our
the one
Animal
that's like
Crossing. We'll have our little villager cat outfits.
Ichinozi is like the boss on Rise, right? So Ichinozi,
Yeah,
Xenoblade, huh?
I'll tell you though, it's still Tsujimoto. Like Ryozo is the man because he's the series producer, right? So he's the one who's acting, going out and like talking to his other fellow producers and other companies and making those deals. I think
Dude,
that's him mostly. So
Ryo,
I would give all the credit to him because like even World, he was just the executive producer on that. I think he does that, and then Ichinose can focus more on the game and creating it.
so Ryozu's gonna be like Xenoblade, no hammer,
Mm.
no good, no hammer, no collab. Okay. So the next topic that I wanted to bring up, this is an interesting topic that I think that you have a lot of insight to bring to this, which is the separation of single player and multiplayer. So before we get
Yes, I think
started,
yeah, lay the ground field here.
so before we get started, I mean there is no ground field. I mean it's just like
Sure there is.
Rise is going to be one way. World was a different way because Rise is going to be separated, single player and multiplayer, and World it was not separated. So basically, from the start, you could play. Well, I say from the start, there was like 3 quests or whatever that you had to do by yourself. But after that, you could pretty much play everything with other players. And there's good things and bad things about that.
As I put that baby in quotes, please. You can
Yeah.
play with other players.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, I think the groundwork here is people, and I'm noticing in this in my comment section as well, is there's people who have not played games outside World and Iceborne, so they
yeah,
probably don't understand what that means. Going back to separated, what does that mean? Is it just the same quest and you're just doing the exact same thing? And it's not. So
no.
that's kind of like the groundwork I wanted to lay here. Is that in the older games, what you had was you'd have the village quest. We call them village. It's the offline. So this is for single player. It's where most of the story stuff happens. As you progress, you unlock a lot of stuff for your village, whether it's ingredients or different, level things things that'll be beneficial in the long term, like upgrading your farm and stuff like that. Um, that's what we call the village quest, and there's a whole line of it. It goes all the way through, low rank, up to the very end where like high rank is sort of like the last few quests. but it's primarily low rank, and it's super tailored. Online in the Gathering Hall is a completely different list of quests. It's not the same thing than just online. It's its own complete different thing. So you'd have like, I don't know, like what, 60 to 100 quests on Village, and then you'd have like another 100 or more on the Gathering Hub. Like it's not like World, where World had like World had like no quests at all because they were banking on you playing investigations and stuff. The amount of actual quests online is plentiful. There's monsters that are only there in the Gathering Hall. So there's kind of a weird thing, right? So the Gathering Hall traditionally has been tailored for multiplayer, so it's harder. But there's a lot of exclusive bosses and monsters and stuff to do online. So you do kind of a mix. Like you start out in the village. If you find yourself getting stuck or you just want to play online, you go do the Gathering Hub stuff. And then if you're ever stuck in Village, you just go online with people, get into high rank, start beating up monsters, get good gear, go back to Village, and you can just cream it.
Yeah,
It makes it very easy.
the purpose was that you're not intended to like. At least I don't think a normal player is not intended to like. Okay, I'm gonna play through the entirety of Village quests. Then gonna go online. Then I'm gonna play the entirety of hub quests. The idea is that
Yeah,
you jump back
between
and
them.
forth. You jump back and forth between them, and then you do a quest here, a quest there, and you get to experience both sides of things. So you play a little bit of single player, then a little bit of multiplayer. That was kind of like the rhythm that you had in older Monster Hunter games. And it is important to stress out that, like, for instance, in GU, so like your main story, if I remember correctly, would end with Volstrax, right?
Yeah, Valstrax.
And then in order for you to actually see the secret boss, which like if you take World, for instance, it's like the flagship monster of World was Nergigante, and then the actual final boss was Xeno'jiiva. And so in GU, the flagship monster was Volstrax, but then the actual final monster was this golden insect called the Talca, which was a fantastic fight. And the only way to experience a Talca was actually to go into the online lobby. And well, I say online, you could do it offline as well.
Yeah.
But to go into the hub and actually progress through the hub to eventually find the last quest where you can actually fight a Talca. Now, the biggest problem with this separation is the scaling. That's like one of the biggest
so
things.
I mean, traditionally it'd only scale to 4 players. So like, if you want, you could do it, and I've done it many times where I just do all of the Gathering Hub solo. You could certainly do it, but it's tailored for 4 people, so monsters have like 3 times the health that they normally would. So
Yeah.
it to me, I liked it because it kind of made it like a hard mode. If you wanted a challenge, you just went online solo or go into the Gathering Hub. If you wanted easy or regular mode, you'd go to the village. But yeah, it's a problem because some people they don't like the fact that they're doing a 4-person quest alone and nothing is scaling. But they've said that scaling is going to be in Rise. They said that the Gathering Hub will scale the same way that it does in World and Iceborne without going into too much details, which tells me they'll do scaling at least for 2, 3, and 4
At
people.
least not 3. If they do it like World,
2 and 4.
it was 2 and 4. Yeah. So
Okay.
if they at least do 2 and 4, like that's already a big improvement over the scaling on something like GU, which like to give
It's
you
like
guys an
half the
idea.
difficulty, yeah.
Like I had to last night. I actually played GU, and I was doing a quest where I had in G rank G4. I had to kill Laji, Narga, and Royal Ludbruth, and it's like I soloed that quest. I
That
probably
took
had
35
like
minutes, I'm sure.
I probably had like 2 minutes left on the clock because I was playing Gunlance.
Oh, rip.
And Gunlance is very nerfed in GU, so yeah, it's not particularly powerful, so it takes you longer to do the hunts. But it's like that is a concern of the multiplayer separation. But personally, it's also like I kind of liked the way that they did in World because I don't know, there's just something about you being able to bring in a new friend and you're just being like, hey, let's go do this quest together. Like, well, where are you at? You got to go kill Rathalos? Yeah, sure. Let's go. Both of us kill Rathalos. Whereas in previous games, you can't do that. Like if they're doing a village quest, you can't help your friend. Like you can help them kill a Rathalos in the hub, but if they're struggling with Rathalos in the village quest, then you have to either, okay, we got to get your gear up so that you can go and you can go kill it by yourself.
Yeah, I think we should probably take this point by point because I actually think that we have completely opposite opinions on this
Yep.
topic because I hated how they did it in World. Um, so
So
let's take this example you're
so
giving,
so
which is
so
the
elaborate on that. Why didn't you like
well,
it
but
in?
well, well, let me try to tackle one point at a time because there's
Okay.
so many different aspects of this. But like you were saying, like your friends, like I want to do Rathian, cool, let's go do Rathian. That still existed in the old games.
Yes.
You essentially had two games, right? You had the Village game and then you had the Gathering Hub game, and both were substantial enough content that you can just play only Village and get hundreds of hours out of the game and be like Monster Hunter rocks, and you can never have gone online. You might not have run into all the monsters, and that would suck, but there's enough content there to make for a full game.
Yes.
Then the Gathering Hub is also enough content for a full game. So like you don't miss out on the experiences, especially on the Gathering Hub. If anything, it's the Village. The Village, you miss out on the story. And in the Gathering Hub, you miss out on some special monsters. So I still think the idea of like, you still had like your what they called key quests, which were like your assignments. You had those both for the Village and the online Gathering Hub. So you still had like, okay, there's 5 quests I need to do in order to get up my rank online. So there was still like the bucket list of, okay, I need to take down a Rathian. I need to take down, a Rathalos. Okay, let's go do it. And it was very meaningful to help out a friend. So I still think you had the progression where, so I don't see how World did it better, and except for the fact that it halved everything. It literally made the content in half for me because you do one quest against, let's say, a Rathian. That's it. You're done. There's no Gathering Hub. There's no Village. That's the only quest that you needed to do to progress in the story. You essentially are blowing through 2 parts of the game at the exact same time, which means that you have a lack of content. There's a lack of quests, which was one of my biggest complaints about World was there's not a lot of quests. You go to the quest board, there's like barely any assignments. There's barely any free quests compared to older games. Like the Gathering Hub would have like 8 pages of quests for every level, like there was a whole lot of them. And I just think you miss out on that kind of stuff. And so I just don't see where World did that better in any means, especially when we get into the topic of how smooth the progression goes with 2 people
Oh
was, in
yeah.
my opinion. And I'm experiencing it now for the first time because I never played it online with somebody. And I'm playing through the story with Yuna.
The
It's
cinematics. It's
freaking
so good.
atrocious. I want to say the F word so bad because it upsets me deeply. The fact that I'm so happy I never experienced this before because people would have thought I hated World because I love the game, but oh my God, what are people smoking? I'll just say that.
Yeah.
This sounds pretentious, but like people are like, oh, it was when they did away with the separation in World, which was a good move forward, and now we're going back. I'm like, stop pretending that it was a good move forward. It was not. You kidding me? Like the way they did it, they could have did it better, right? But the way they did it was shit. I'll just play it like that. It was shit. It was total shit. So instead of saying, yeah, but they could have done this to make it better, it was still a good idea. What was wrong with the way in the old games? Okay, so your friend does not want to play the game solo. Then don't do the Village.
So
There,
so
you've got a full game of content.
that's actually something that I've been meaning to ask you about. We just unlocked Savage Gaijin again, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Every single goddamn quest that I'm trying to do with my daughter, every single one, it's stopping us.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, you can't go in a room. Nope, they got to do a cutscene. Nope, you can't go in this together. So every time we get a new quest, we're just like, by default, we can't do this together. So we both have to rush in. I have to mimic her freaking footsteps so that we see the cutscene approximately at the same time because I will have to exit out of my quest and then join hers.
Yep.
And if I get to the cutscene first, then I've got to wait for her to see hers. If I get there last and she's stuck alone fighting this monster without me, it's not a co-op game. I'm sorry, it's not. It's like some hidden feature they put. You could potentially join your other person. It's not co-op, not
It's
for
like,
story.
and
Assignments is just
I'll tell you what, that is actually some criticism that I myself have levied at the game. I didn't care that much about it because I played most of it solo and then just went in. And whenever I had friends that were going through it, then I probably already did the quest, so I would just like wait.
so you
in
just
the
waited,
lobby.
right?
And it's like, okay,
and
you
join in.
saw the cutscene. Okay, I'm coming in. So that was not a huge problem for me. But like, I can see if you're trying to play 2 people at the same time, fresh characters, then yeah, it's really bad. And here's the
I
thing,
saw the
like,
look on my daughter's face as she wanted to quit the game. She was then that frustrated with it.
yeah,
And
because
that's why I pulled out the Paolumu charm, is in order to keep her hooked, because I knew she was getting frustrated.
I love, I just love the concept that like, oh no, she's getting frustrated. I'm going to throw more money at the game and fix this problem. Just throw more money at it.
And then I have to tell her 3 more quests and we get the Paolumu. Okay, now I'm motivated. Let's do this.
But it's like, so here's the thing. The reason why that also pisses me off to a certain extent is because it's such an easy fix. The easiest fix and the lazy fix would be to basically just, have both players experience the cinematic at the same time.
Yeah.
And replace the hunter that's in the cinematic by the player character. Boom, done. So it's like Yuna goes in there, doesn't matter. The cutscene
there first.
The cutscene you see is your hunter, the cutscene she sees is her hunter, boom, done. But even better than that, and something that Capcom has done in their games would be to just include another hunter in the cutscene. And they've done cutscenes like this. So like, for instance, if you look at the cutscene on at the end of Shara when Nergigante shows up.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's not the one. It's the one where you go to repeat Shara or when you go to repeat Safi in multiplayer. The scene actually shows the other hunters. It shows your hunter and all of the other hunters all there in the cutscene. So it's like, just have every cutscene have 4 hunters. And like, if you look at a game that they've done before, which is Lost Planet 2, which is extremely underrated game, by the way. For some reason, reviewers were having a bad day or something, and they slagged that game because Lost Planet 2, I think, is amazing. But like, in Lost Planet 2, every team in every cutscene, there would always be a 4-man team there. Even if they were NPCs, there would be 4 characters there, and they would just like change the characters to reflect whatever the players had equipped, and that was it. It's like that's all you had to do.
My theory at this point of why it's so botched is that my guess is that they started development with the same idea that there would be a village and there would be online. Online doesn't have cutscenes traditionally, so you could add in those quests later. It's just messing around with parameters and stuff like that. So my guess is that they started crafting the village quest, and somewhere when they were already did motion capture and they were already too far to make a decision change, they said, no, we should have every quest be able to be done online. Let's just combine the two. But they didn't take the amount of work it would have took for them to redo the cutscenes. They didn't want to do it lazily. So they just said, okay, we'll just stop people from doing the quest together. But the amount of quests in that game is so small because it's combined. I hate that. I don't know if the game is so hot on investigations and things that those are so awesome, but they're not. Having a full page of quests and something to get that complete mark on everything, like that's fun.
Okay, so it's like you have a very different look on the game, because like I like the investigations because it's like the way that investigations work is they allowed you to focus on what you wanted to craft. So instead of you doing multiple quests, of a lot of times it would be the same monster, right? It's just in a different zone or some different conditions, or there might be like another wild monster around, something like that. But you'd still be like, for instance, you said you hunt a Rathian, like that's the Rathian that you did, and boom, that's done. It's like, yeah, in other games you would have, oh, here's the Rathian in the jungle, here's the Rathian in the desert, here's the Rathian in lava, whatever, right? Well, in this game, all of that, in World, all of that was in the investigation system. And the benefit of the investigations, which is actually it was one of my most viewed videos at the time, was because I basically made a video where I said, don't repeat quests, do investigations.
And that's exactly why I hate, but that's why I hate them. To me, I think it ruined my, the amount of gameplay that I got out of it, because it was too easy to get everything you needed for a full set. You hunted the monster, twice, and you're done. Like that's the whole point is like the grind was made too small, in my opinion. I mean, of course, RNG grind was there, but I mean, like, what's the good point of getting 3 times the amount of materials, or 20% chance at a rare material instead of 5%? I mean, I get it, but to me, it made it. I didn't hunt monsters that often because I already got everything I needed. It was just too easy.
Hmm.
You need some plates? Okay, just go buy. You do some gold, gold reward investigations. You do like one or two, you get some plates. You're done. Like there's, I don't know, the
I
grind. Maybe
mean,
people didn't like it as much, but I
it.
love the grind.
I guess it depends on how much you were crafting at the time. I mean, if you're just like blowing through the story, then yeah, you can just like make your sets real fast.
Yeah.
But because I was making so many builds, it was actually really useful. Like I still like have a ton of investigations like stacked up, and I order them and I organize them and I delete the ones that kind of like suck. Like, oh, it doesn't have at least 2 gold materials. Screw this quest. It sucks. Delete it. So this was an ice
like
point.
so the free quests at this point have no value at that point. They're only there if it's like an NPC request that unlocks something. The free quests are always inferior to investigations.
Oh yes,
I don't
in
think there's
terms
any
in
case
terms of like if you getting materials, yeah. The optional quests, it's like they're just there for completionism's sake. Which World is actually the only Monster Hunter where I completed every single quest, World and Iceborne, where I completed every single. One of the things that I didn't like about it though was the arena quests would only unlock like after you captured a monster. Like that was kind of weird.
yeah.
I'm not. Was that like that in other games? No. Yeah.
No.
Those quests were kind of weird because I remember like very specifically, like I'd be looking at the completion thing and it would have like a blue check mark, and I was like, I need the red one that says that I did everything. And then I like be looking it up, and it's like, oh, you have to like go capture a great Jagras so that you can fight it in the arena or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Okay. So
Now, one thing I'll say here is like one of the arguments I see about like online being split up from Village is one, the people who don't want to play solo, which I get. They want to be able to enjoy the story, but they just don't want to play the game alone. Like, okay, I get that, but I mean, there's enough quests and there's enough to do in the Gathering Hall that you can get a high rank weapon and go back and just wipe the village. Like it's almost like a defender weapon at that point. You can just cream everything. It's not that hard.
So that's one of the things that I meant to ask you though. So I don't remember exactly when the hub unlocks, but it's not unlocked from the get go, right? You have to do like a couple of
No,
quests.
it's there from the get go. No, it's always there from the get go.
Like right from
least,
the very beginning, like you get to town and boom, hub is open.
Should be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless for you had some maybe like a story cutscene you need to see, or maybe, but in general, like what I call like the start of the game, yeah. Basically, once you start going on once you unlock the ability to take on a large monster in the village, which is probably just right after the intro stuff,
Yeah.
you can go online, which was great because most of my videos in which I said, hey, if you're having problems in the village, if you remember the Buja Buja Boo set in Generations Ultimate, like you cannot fight a Bullfango in the village. It's not there. But you can go straight into the Gathering Hall, and there's monsters that are not available yet that you can fight right from the beginning of the game. So you go and you fight some Bullfangos, and you can make some armor that really helps you a lot in the village, which is really nice. And there's even, you can get ores earlier in the game by going to the Gathering Hall because it unlocks maps faster than they unlock in the village. So from the default, you get access to areas that are not accessible in the village yet, which is fantastic because I mean it gives you an escape route in case you really want to upgrade your ore weapon.
So the thing that I've been trying to ask for a while now.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault because like I also get sidetracked and start asking other things, but it's like so the progression of is there any point at which you can't progress in the Gathering Hub until you've gone through a certain number of village quests? Because that's kind of like the idea that I had. But it's because, and I didn't play older games as much as World. World is the one that I've played the most. I did play the older games, but I didn't play them as much. So I would jump back and forth. But it's at least, so you can do the whole game.
You can beat the entire game to the final boss without touching the village.
Okay.
So you literally have not done anything. You're village level 1, but you're high rank.
But you're missing out on farm stuff, at least. You're missing out on farm stuff.
Yeah. So
what else are you missing out on?
NPCs. Well, there's the story. There's usually in traditional games, like when you talk to NPCs, they'll unlock their own like line of quests.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, at least like a Generations, it unlocked a village quest. Sometimes it unlocked a Gathering Hall quest. So I guess if you wanted to do all the side stuff, you do have to do both.
Yeah, because like for
If you
instance,
want to,
in GU, that was one of the things that happened multiple times as I was playing through it
yeah,
with friends. Would be like, "Oh, I have this quest," my friend would say, and I'm like, "Well, I don't." It's like, "Oh well,
yeah,
sucks to be you," because like they did some village quest that I didn't, and then it would be the other way around sometimes where it's like, "Oh yeah, to get this material, the easiest way is to go do this quest in the village," and they'd be like, "Well, I don't have that quest in the village." Well, that's because you haven't done this gathering hub quest,
yeah.
which
Okay,
comes
so
from doing
let
this
me.
other village. It's like you know that
Yeah.
character with the friggin' map with the red wires and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
It's like, let me tell you, okay, here's how this quest
Yeah.
works.
Okay, so you're right, and what I meant was what I thought you were asking was the critical path. Like, can
Yeah,
you go
that
through play
also, that
HR
also,
one,
yeah.
two, three, four, get to the end boss? Like, can you do the traditional critical path? You can. If you want to do optional stuff, then yeah, you have to do a lot of bouncing in between both.
Yeah,
And also villages where they put the really boring quests sometimes. Like, I don't think we'll have that
yeah,
problem in Rise, but GU, oh my god, like
yeah.
some of
Like
those
that.
village quests were so painful
That
to do.
was it
It's
was
like go
really
gather
bad.
8 special mushrooms or go like deliver 3 eggs or something crazy. It's like, oh my god.
Like I've said it multiple times. Like, look, at this point, after the amount of hours I've put into it, I love GU. I really love GU. But when I first played GU, let's just not GU. When I first played Generations, let's just say I was happy that I could import my Generation save into GU and skip all of that nonsense because that was insane,
Did
dude.
did you get your Hayabusa though?
Hayabusa feather, yeah, I have Hayabusa feather. The one thing that I
Wow,
still
okay,
don't
so
have.
you went through it all then. Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The one thing that I still don't have is Verdant Kokoto. And I don't even know what I'm missing at this point. Because see, that's the thing. I have to keep going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
And I still don't
I
have
mean,
Verdant
GU was
Kokoto.
GU is a pretty extreme example. That I think took it to a next level. But yeah, I mean, okay, you'd have to go between the two. But I don't. It's just maybe it's the volume that I'm upset about. It's just
It,
when
it
they
definitely
combined it in World, it felt like the volume was just neutered. It's like
it,
cut
it
in half.
definitely it definitely the thing seems to me like you're much more focused on the static quests, whereas I just embraced the investigations because I thought that they were fun. Because I think it also has to do with the way that I played the game, which is like I told you, like I didn't use dung pods because I liked seeing the monsters fight and I liked the chaos that
Yeah,
it would be to have like 2, 3 monsters in the same area. So I never used dung pods. I never captured. So it's just like the way that I would play these hunts, it would always end up being fun, even if it was an investigation or whatever. Like it would always be fun. Now, having said that, the thing that
yeah.
wasn't fun was when you had to grind the RNG decos. That was not fun. But like the actual
This is
quests themselves, the investigations, I love them because it was like random. Like sometimes there'd be some really good stuff, sometimes there wouldn't. You know, sometimes just like here's the monster and a couple of extra materials. Other times like here's the monster. There's an upsurge in this thing, which is also going to be a thing in Rise supposedly, where you'll be
yeah,
able to like get like super rare materials and stuff like that. So you know there were some interesting things there, and there were
yeah,
also ways for you to like grind out what do you call it, Zenny, because like if you would go on
mm,
like a 3 monster quest and you take the green cloak all shiny and stuff that would drop more shinies, and on top of it you could like use the lucky token or whatever it was, I forget, the lucky ticket,
yeah.
whatever.
You get more
and
rewards.
and
Yeah,
so it would increase the rewards,
voucher.
and usually the 3 monster quests, the monsters would be weaker because there's 3 of them, and
Yeah,
then you would also get like additional zenny, and then on top of it the multiplier of the lucky voucher, and on top of it the fact that you use the bandit mantle on. So there was like some interesting stuff to do with the investigation, so that's why I didn't mind as much.
yeah. Well, there's yeah. I can see your points there for sure. I'd say one of the things that I think has to be mentioned that I think people may be forgetting of why they probably separated them from the first point. Like, why was there ever a village in an online hub? Like, why are they separate? Is we have to think about portability, right? So, if you're designing a Monster Hunter game that is in no way a lesser experience when played portably, like outside on the train, during lunch, on a portable machine, then you have to make the single player experience golden, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why they had the village, is because when, let's say, my daughter's at school or I'm doing something like, that gives me something that I can do. Like I sit down on a sofa, I've got my village I can focus on. There's goals and there's
Yeah.
things to do. And everything that you do in the village translates into something good for online as well. I think both from a skill standpoint, being able to learn how to handle monsters when they're only focused on you and your cats is a great skill that you can bring when you go online. You start to appreciate when the monster is focused on someone else, and you perform better, I think, when the monster is focused on you. So I think it helps you grow as a hunter. I also think that, as you, for example, as you go through your village and you put in the work and you upgrade your kitchen, then you want people to go to your gathering hub because you've got better meals than they do. So there's the incentive of, oh, well, let's go to your hub because you've got like the attack up L meal. Like you've unlocked everything. You're awesome. So there's a certain amount of prestige that happened online with friends when you had more stuff unlocked than they did, which I enjoyed. But I
Well,
think
in
having a
GU they
separate
took
village
that
and
away.
online,
In GU, all of that things that you're talking about, the extra kitchen, that doesn't matter because like if you're in my hall and you have the food, everybody's got the food.
everybody got it.
Yeah, so it's like
But
if
but
I mean,
it's meaningful to have unlocked it though.
well, yeah, it's meaningful if you're solo. What I mean is like even if I don't have the food unlocked in my hall, but you join my hall, then you unlock the food for everyone that's there.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like for that player who
Oh yeah,
did,
yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
went through their village and did it,
It's like here's
they're
my
contributing
food.
something. Exactly. It's like, oh my God, like dude, how far did you get in the village? You got all this shit unlocked. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you're like, eat it up, boys, on me,
I guess meat's back on the menu, boys.
So I don't know. I like that. And that, like we were saying before, it never scaled before, right? So if there was only like a gathering hub, then playing solo would be a handicap way to play because it's not toned, it's not designed for single player difficulty. The hub, at least traditionally.
Yes.
So
The
I like the
scale.
idea that the village was very, very. It was like the intent, like how they designed the game to be played. Like you had that Dark Souls, like okay, the village quests were perfectly tuned. The balance of the weapons, the balance of everything were really well tuned. It felt like you were just the right enough weak, right enough. You were just strong enough to get through it. It was a really good balance, and it felt like the ideal way that the dev wanted you to experience the game. Where online is kind of like you can just break it. You can have someone come in with overpowered crap. You can abuse monsters, and it's just for fun, right? And you just go crazy. Where the intended experience, I think, is village.
So that's one of the things that I was always very careful about Monster Hunter. It's one of the reasons why, World I've played with random people because in World I was always on the cutting edge, right? I was always,
Mm.
at the same progress level that everybody else, so it was never really a problem. Not to mention that I would always kill the monster alone once at least. Make sure that I'm like, okay, I can do
Yeah.
it. Boom, let's go. Now we can go farm it. Whereas in previous Monster Hunters, because I came in later to those, I would rarely play with people that were not like, friends of mine that would be close to the same progression,
Similar.
specifically to avoid the situation. Because I remember at one point, I think I played 3 Ultimate or something on stream. And, I was just like, okay, guys, you can come, but, bring gear that is level appropriate to where I'm at. And it was like, the hunt was over in 2 seconds and they captured it. And I was like, what the hell happened? It's like, I think I hit the monster twice. Like, that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing with randoms in older Monster Hunter games. Because, like, I don't like getting
Yeah.
carried. I don't think that's fun.
Yeah,
But
the HR filter is important, and I
Yeah.
don't think enough people used it.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like if I implemented an HR filter, then nobody that was on the stream could actually join me.
Oh yeah, that would be horrible. Yeah, because you got someone who went really far, but he's like, no, I swear I'll put on a low rank weapon.
Yeah,
But if they have a high rank, they would just destroy everything.
Yeah, but it's like they put on low rank weapons. Some of them were even like fighting naked because I was still like in the low portion of high rank or something like that. But even still, they just have so much more experience at fighting the monster that it didn't even make a difference, right? They just like creamed through it even with low rank weapons. But yeah,
I don't know, I guess the pros and cons are probably equal on both ends. The old system was far from perfect. I will admit that.
it's
And
like
you brought up some good points as well. But I think that the system they did in World was crap. It's definitely easy to fix progression wise.
I mean,
But
the
I don't
part.
know if that necessarily means that they shouldn't go back.
So it's like, here's the thing. I think it's important to mention the part they're saying is crap is the cutscenes thing, right? That's what you're talking about
Yeah, we can't even
specifically.
join a quest together. Yeah.
Yeah, like that I agree is definitely a problem. That was definitely some design thing happened there that kind of like made that whole thing a complete pain in the ass. And there were a lot of people complaining about it. And I always thought this was never a problem to me. It's like, well, yes, because I played the whole game solo, so it's not really a problem
That's the
after
thing, because
that.
it sounds like you essentially gave yourself a village mode. You said that you
Yes.
did the story solo. You always made sure to hunt the monster once alone. You
Yeah.
gave yourself village quests, so you experienced it like the old school way.
Now that you,
Because
now that
normally you would
bring-
do the village and then you'd go online and you'd grind. It sounds like you gave yourself, you mimicked the old system.
it's funny.
Or maybe you're more of a supporter of the split system than you know. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious because like when you just lay it out like that, yeah, you're right. I basically played it like it was old school Village. It's like
Maybe you're more of a fan of the system than you know.
I think the biggest concern for me still is like I don't think I want to see a hub mode that's as scaled up as what we have in GU right now, where it's like, yeah, if I go try hard mode with sword and shield, no problem. But it's like if I want to bring another weapon, like if I want to bring my gun lance, it's like, dude, your quests are, you're sitting down for a long haul. Like it doesn't matter what you're fighting, you're staying there for a while because like shells don't deal any goddamn damage. The weapons themselves, it's like unless you're at maximum heat gauge from the get go and you're managing that thing perfectly to a T, your weapon is nerfed into the dirt. And there are other weapons probably like that. I'm surprised you beat everything with Palicos, considering that. Like if you go look at a tier list,
solo.
If you look at a tier list, like everybody says that Prowlers are the worst, and I'm just like, well, I mean,
and I was in there. I played through G rank. Yeah, the last time I did all G rank solo, and I remember it was like G4, I think, and it was like Furious Rajang or something. And I'm like, okay, this quest is scaled for 4 people. I'm not a magnificent hunter by any means, although I am very good at Prowler. I beat the quest in I think it was like 10 and a half minutes. I'm like, that's an average quest time. That's not long. Yeah. And that's a G rank solo with a cat. I'm like, it's a perfectly viable weapon, guys. Come on.
I think whoever made the tier list was wrong on the Prowler thing. I think like, look, whoever made those tier lists, like you go back and you take another look at it. Prowlers were not nearly that bad. Not to mention that I've seen people like solo Bloodbath Diablos. With it, like the EX version of Bloodbath Diablos, and I was just like, with a Prowler,
That's
and I'm
a fun
like, dude,
quest to do solo.
there is no way. I've never done it. I've never done any of the EX solo at all.
I don't think I can do any of the EX except Bloodbath. I think that's the only one I've done it so much that I could do it solo. The other ones, I think I would triple cart.
But
I was gonna say, like, I think the problem you were mentioning with the power, the gap, the range being too big, I think that's a problem that gets introduced when you have the master rank G rank, because I didn't feel that problem was that existent in Monster Hunter World base, nor did I feel that in Monster Hunter Generations, because you were only ever one rank above low rank, where Iceborne introduces a whole, like, they really inflate everything for master rank. So if you bring a master rank weapon to even a high rank quest or a low rank quest, you're just going to destroy stuff.
Oh yes, 100%.
That, and then of course, World and Iceborne had the problem where they had power creep as well. So if you were that much further in the game, you would destroy even master rank stuff. Would be pretty easy, like early on stuff.
Oh yeah, like once you get the Fatalis armor, there's just nothing that even comes close to challenging you, with the exception of Fatalis himself and maybe Arch-Tempered's, but that's about it. Everything else just gets destroyed in seconds.
So here's a weird question. So what if they allow the Gathering Hall quest to be scaled to 1 player this time? We don't know.
It's
what
like,
if?
I don't need it to be scaled to 1 player. I think scaled to 2 would be fine. I think scaled to 2 would be fine. What I don't want is scaled to 4. Like scaled to 4 is the big deal. That's the one where you start having.
They did
some
confirm
problems.
2 or less, which is good. They confirmed that.
Yeah. So it's like if I go into hub and it's only for 2 player scaling, I think it should be fine, because it should be like a step up from village quests. At least it should feel
Yeah.
a little bit more of a difference because ultimately, like you said yourself, we're going to be getting stuff faster if we know what we're doing. If we're going after those key quests and whatnot, and we'll end up getting better gear, and then we can cream through the village, no problem. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I guess to wrap up, it's like I liked the way that they did it in World because it made it easier for me to bring friends along that maybe are not that into the game. Whereas in the previous games, it makes it harder for me to carry them, I guess. It's like I can't carry my friends through village quests. It's like, sorry guys, y'all just got to get good. That's what Gaijin said.
Oh, come on. Don't make me the get good. Make me the get good guy.
Gaijin said you guys got to get good. You told me the same thing. So I'm sorry. I can't carry your village quests.
Oh, man. I need to do some evasions and get rid of this burn.
It definitely made it easier for me to like help people out on a lot of situations. Whereas it's like, if there's no option, then there's just no option. That's one of the reasons why I like the way World did it. It's like, yeah, sure, I did everything single player, like you said. So it's not like the separation is going to affect me, but it is going to affect, like, say someone jumps into my stream and they're like, oh, I'm struggling with this thing. And I was like, well, too bad. I can give them some tips, but I can't help them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like
I think you bring up a good point, though, and it's enlightening for me as well. Is that for the solo player, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
Like having a solo village is fantastic, actually, because it gives you goals, and having a scalable multiplayer means that you're no longer massively handicapped if you do the Gathering Hall solo. So
Exactly.
the solo player is appeased. It's the problem where people are not as happy is those who want to focus purely on multiplayer. They'll have a robust Gathering Hall, but it's like, but there's all those village quests that are just sitting there, and I don't like to hunt solo, or I don't want to hunt solo, or I mean, they can get over the problem, like you were saying. If you're just it's too tough, then I think you just go online and you get high rank, and you can just destroy the village, and you'll be fine.
The problem I think is going to be that
it still
the time
doesn't solve.
investment.
Yeah, it doesn't solve the problem that I don't want to do this solo, and I think I could see that as a valid argument.
And the thing then becomes, it's like, well, I'll just play the multiplayer mode. Okay, so I guess you are going to be struggling with your consumables because you're not going to have a farm, and your palicos are probably going to suck, and your palamute is going to suck. It's like, yeah, you can do it, but you're going to be probably crippling yourself in more ways than one. So it is what it is. I mean,
I'm happy though, because I think my dissatisfaction with the amount of static quests as a result of combining them to me felt like half the game quest wise. To me static quests are so important, and that's just a thing that for me I like. So
how did you feel about the expedition quests or whatever in For You, right? For You had the expeditions, if I remember correctly.
the guild quests,
I don't know. Weren't there these
like the random quests that came, like that you get a random one and you had to level it up? You talking about those?
I'm talking about this
That was like
thing
the
that,
end game.
No, it wasn't an end game thing. It was something that you could do like midway through it. You would basically go onto this weird map.
Yeah, it was like free hunt, right? The expeditions.
Yeah, it's
right?
kind of like free hunt. Yeah, but it was these expeditions, and you would just like go on them. Like, what'd you think about those? Because those, technically speaking, weren't static. Like they would change the monsters.
Yeah,
that were
those I
available.
like because that gives like especially the solo player who just wants to have that's like the easy way out. Like if you want, because you can what was it the monsters in the expeditions were not that hard. So the expeditions were a fun way to gather a bunch of materials, just randomly hunt whatever the game wants to just pop up. I thought it was a fun thing. It basically is just free hunt. It's the same thing as in World. If you just go to the ancient forest, it's like, okay, what's going to pop up?
Yeah.
And you get some random 3, and then a 4th one will pop up. Like that I like, and I think it's fun. But that's just like a good time killer.
But the investigations are like, no.
Yeah, because they pay out double, triple the rewards as a static quests.
Your problem is
I
that
don't
they
like
make
that.
everything faster as well.
And there's no story. I mean, maybe I'm a weird guy, but I like the fact that I get a request from an NPC and there's like a little story or thing behind it. You don't get that with investigation. It's just like, yeah, go here's a good Diablos, here's a shitty Diablos, here's a Diablos that's packed in with a basil. Like, have fun, guys. It's like, I don't
You
know.
do
You
have
lose
a
the
good
world
point
building feeling.
with the lore and the world building, which the world building in particular is something that I've paid more attention because like playing the demo as much as we've played, and it's like you begin to look at the demo as basically, well, it's this map. That's it. That's this demo. There's this
Yeah.
map and there's like 4 monsters on it, and I go and I kill them. It's like without all of the other things, like when you boil down Monster Hunter, that is what Monster Hunter is. You go into this map, there's a couple of monsters there, you beat the crap out of the monsters, boom. But it's like when you take
But
away
the
all of
framing
the
matters,
other
you know.
all of the other bells and whistles, like you take away the village, which is it's just another map. You don't even do anything in this other map. You just like you talk to the NPCs, that's it. But it's like when you take that away, suddenly the game feels so small. It's so tiny, right? So I can appreciate
It
the
is.
world
It's
the world building that you get from those quests and the flavored text that you get, which I'm sure most people don't even know that there's flavored text there, that every single static quest there's there actually has a customer, which sometimes is like a character that is actually walking around in the village. Other times
Yeah, yeah.
it's just a character that might not be there, might show up at a different date. But like every single static quest in the game is actually someone went to the guild and they're like, we need to get this thing taken care of. And then your hunter goes there and is like, oh, here's the request. We got to do the thing.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. There's a reasoning behind them. But so yeah, I can see it's like I can see your points of view with the separation. It's like I said, for me personally, it's not a big deal, but I know it's going to be a pain in the ass for some of the friends that I play with because they're going to ask me for my help and I'm going to tell them, hey, here's some tips on how you can beat this. It's like, what do you mean tips? Why don't you come over here and beat this thing with me? It's like, no, it's not
I
happening.
can't join you. That's a village quest.
Yeah, that's
You're
a
on your
village
own, buddy.
quest. You're gonna have to figure it out. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing for me. Like to give you an idea, I still haven't finished all of the village quests in GU. There's still stuff that I'm unlocking, and I've killed a Talcal like God knows how long ago, and I've done like a bunch of the deviants and whatnot, and my set is fully built, fully upgraded, fully done. There's still village quests I haven't finished. There's still
So I'm
hub
a
quests I haven't
purist.
finished.
I'm a purist in the fact that what I generally will do is I will touch the Gathering Hall. I'll touch HR1 because it gives you some early game access to some monsters and some materials that you normally don't get. But in general, I will only do village and I'll beat it. I'll go all the way through the village first and then I'll start playing online.
But you can't do it in GU, see? You can't do the entirety of the village in GU. You have
Well, not
to
the entire.
go.
Well, you're talking about all the optional stuff. I'm talking about critical path. Like
Oh,
I'll get to
okay.
the
Critical
end
path.
boss.
Yeah, sure.
I'll play through village. I'll do all the key quests. I'll beat the boss of the village, see the ending credits, and then I'm like, now I'm ready to go to the Gathering Hall.
Okay.
And then I go there and I'll start dabbling around with some online stuff where I'll do it solo.
So that I've done. I've beaten the final boss of the
optional
story.
stuff. Oh man, I don't know if people realize this, but to do all the optional quests in traditional Monster Hunters, like World was different because like investigations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To do all the static quests in a Monster Hunter game traditionally, that is a very long-term investment.
Oh yes. That is that's pretty insane. I'm curious to see how they're going to do it this time around. If they're going to have like as many quests as we've had in previous games, or if it's going to be a little bit less. Like we still don't know how many monsters we're going to have because like GU I think had like 90 something monsters, or is it 70? I forget.
Yeah.
I know that at
I'm
some
really
point I
curious
did the
about
math
how they're
for
going to
it.
do.
Go ahead.
No, I'm curious how they're going to do in the older games because online was scaled to 4 people. There wasn't a very easy way to get a high rank materials from a monster in solo, like in the village. So they had a thing where if you do all the NPC side quests, usually the very final NPC side quest that a person will give you is a high rank monster in the village, which is something you normally don't get. So it gave players who are solo a way to be able to farm high rank materials without having to do the online Gathering Hall. And I always thought that was really cool. But if it's scaling, then that's not really going to be so much of a treat anymore because like the Gathering Hall is not that much scaled up compared to the village. So I'm curious of how they're going to do that.
If it's scaling to solo, it won't be a big deal. But if it's scaling to 2 players, then it still might be.
It's still, a little bit of a benefit, right?
Yeah.
Plus, we can't forget that I think the main focus of online in Rise is going to be Rampage. I don't think it's going to be the Gathering Hall or the village. I think Rampage feels to me like we don't have a lot of details on it, that feels like it's probably going to be like like you were saying, the investigations, like going on and just playing with streamers and friends. Rampage might be like a huge part of that. So, if Rampage is there, and I'm curious if a Rampage would scale to single player. I'm curious about that actually. If not, then that gives you a really nice balance, right? You get Village if you want something tailored to solo play, Rampage if you want something tailored to online play, and Gathering Hall works for both. So you sort of get the full suite of things. I don't know.
I just
we'll have to wait and
hope,
see how they do it.
yeah, it's like there's so many things that they're playing close to the vest with this one. Like we still don't know what the skill system is, which is completely
I know.
bonkers to even think about. It's
We
like,
don't even know the types of prowlers. We know there's 6, but they haven't even told us what they are. There's so much stuff they haven't told us.
which is exciting, which is good. Don't tell us these things. We need to figure it out in the game. That's when we really need to figure it out. But I guess to wrap it up, basically, I think we both presented like there's good arguments to be had
on both sides, yeah.
on both sides of the equation. But ultimately, it's just like, Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter, and we all have to try to make the best of it. Even if you're someone that like, oh, I don't like solo hunting, just try it out. Maybe you'll grow into it.
Maybe it'll be really good this time around. I don't know. Like the gathering is going to be fun because did you notice you can use wire bugs if you have like a big egg in your hand?
Yeah, I've seen people talk about that. So you can carry the egg and use wire bugs with the egg, which is
and
cool.
you'll have multiple camps, which means you don't have to run the damn egg all the way back to the very first camp. Maybe that's an exciting idea.
I mean, usually whenever you have the egg quests and other Monster Hunters, they usually cut off the paths of the easiest delivery just to piss you off, to make you go the long routes. So I don't know about that. It's like you're gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna go turn it into this camp, and then when you're about to climb up, there's a big rock in the way, and you're like, nope, you can't climb here. Nope, forget about it. You have to take it a long
that's
way
the other
around.
thing. That's the other thing that going into though that I'll say it one more time just because for me it's important, where for most people it's not, is the village mode, because they know you're playing it alone. They can really fine tune the quests.
Yes.
Like if you had a delivery quest with 2 people, then one guy could just be mounting the dang monsters and throwing them away to some other area, and you could just deliver stuff, you'd be done. But now, because they know you're alone, like you have to think, do I want to hunt the monster first and go in clean? Or is there a way I can avoid them? Like, and you start thinking about it. It's kind of cool. Do I lay traps in certain areas? And
I still remember one of the first egg quests that I did in World. It was the one for Rathian. I'm bringing this egg. I'm running all over the map. I'm on zone 1. I'm about to enter camp. She snipes me with a friggin' fireball, dude.
Oh.
She sniped me with a fireball in the distance. Bam! Right in the ass. And I was like, no!
Oh my God. That's when you say, okay, you know what? You're dead. And you go and you kill her. And then you go and say, okay, now I'm taking your eggs.
Yeah, that's what I did. I killed her. But it was pretty useless because another one spawned. Another one spawned right after. And I was like, no.
Oh, no.
Why would you do
some
this?
people don't realize you can kill those monsters and you get a small break.
Yeah, but I still did the quest.
It's been enlightening though to get the other side of the story, because I don't play online generally. I would say my time with Monster Hunter is 95% solo. I almost never play online with people.
Dude, you're missing out. There's so many random things. When I do, it's just for. There's just. I do it for like random grinding or whatever, but it's just, I don't know, time zones, and I do like the idea of talking to people as you play, and I just never really had that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get that with Yuna, which is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, dude! Like talking to other people while you're hunting is like some of the best, because like you can mess with people as well. So like, someone's talking and someone annoys you for a little bit, and you're like, well, this wyvern fire, I'm gonna veer just a little bit to the right, and I'm so sorry. Oh. I had to get the head.
Yuna trolled me the other day. She trolled me so hard the other day. Not only does she throw bombs at me all the time, she likes chucking the small barrel bombs at me while I'm trying to like attack the monster. I'm like, and I'm blowing up and falling all over. She hit it once where she hit it and like I avoided the beam attack from Izutsune, and she's like, you can thank me for that. I'm like, she's like, I saved you from dying because you got hit by my bomb instead. She'll do stuff and troll me. Like she'll be like, she knows that I like to grab the thunder beetle. So she'll grab it without telling me.
Oh,
And then we'll be going, oh, Mizutsune is going over to zone 13. She's like, why don't you go pick up the Thunder Beetle? Sweet, I'll go this way. And then I go, and it's not there.
dude, that's awesome that she does that, dude. That's
I'm like,
so good.
you little punk. You punk ass. It's so funny.
She's stealing your items already, dude. That's so, they grow up so fast.
And you know, she'll talk me when I put the trap in a bad place, or if I play it down and the monster runs off. She's like, "Man, you stink at placing traps." She's so fun and savage. I love it. Well, you know, we're best friends, so it's like we're just joking with each other and having a good time. And with the hammer, I launch her all the time. And then we, you know, there's the monster in front of us, and we're too busy hitting each other that we're not even hitting the damn monster.
Well, that's all gonna end when Brace Jewel comes out, if they even do Brace Jewel for this game.
Oh, we'll make a family rule to take that sucker off. We're not gonna allow that. No way.
Screw that, dude. That's actually
it's too much fun.
That's one of the things that I think is unfortunate, is that the weapons that you would think would be most affected by it are not. Whereas the weapons that you would think like, oh no, this is the big heavy. Nope. Like you sneeze near that weapon and it gets flinched. So it doesn't make sense to me that like long swords don't suffer from it at all. Dual blades don't suffer from it at all. And it's like,
and the tanky lance is like,
lance and gun lance is like, please don't touch me. Like you'll cancel literally everything that I'm doing. Like Jesus Christ. I just don't understand the priority system that they have for that. It's like, well, we can't mess with the dual blades because they're in demon mode. And demon mode is like you can't be flinched by other players. Like it's dual blades. It's like a rogue class. Like they should be the ones getting flinched, not Lance, the big tanky guy. Like I don't know. Some of those decisions don't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, I will use Brace Decos. Screw that. Get my combos canceled all the friggin' time.
So here's a question to pivot us far away from the online offline discussion, but the demo ends in like a few days.
Yes,
it's sad as hell. I'm so happy they gave us like almost a full month of demo. That's so nice of them, and I think we got our fill.
I think
we've gotten to play it a lot.
People have told me that like the demo, the only thing that goes away is like the ability to play multiplayer and to download the demo, so you can still play solo. Supposedly, I don't know.
How about? I wonder if network play would still work then. So that's how I usually play it. Not that I would play it.
You mean local?
I think we've local multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's not online. It's
because
we've played it to death. I don't think we would continue to do it.
That's the thing. Like I don't want to play it. Like I want to play the actual thing. Yeah. Like I don't want to play the demo. Like
I was going to ask, since it's been a week since we've talked on the podcast, is there anything that you've done in the demo or any further exploration with a weapon where you're like, okay, this is a development over the last week?
I think the gun lance a little bit, because although I don't remember when we last talked about the gun lance. I know that in regards to when I talked about in my video, because I was still like not completely on board with the counter, because of the fact that you know, we talked about how the charge blade counter has like 3 seconds or whatever.
No. Last time you said that you were a-okay with that. You said it. Once you get used to it, you're a happy man.
Like that's the thing. Like that counter to me has, and the more I play it, the thing that just I keep coming back to is that counter. That counter is so friggin' good. It just feels so good. And the other thing was, it seems that the worm stake is dealing a lot of damage, because like whenever I saw speedruns, everybody was just like spamming the worm stake. So I don't know what the deal is going to be with that in the final game. But like one of the things that definitely came around was like, I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to do gun lance or sword and shield as my main. And it's definitely, because like even with shells not scaling, I was just thinking to myself, well, I'll just do what I did in World. I'll just slap lance it. Boom, done. Whatever. I don't care. If we get to the point where shells don't work, I'll slap lance. I got the counter. What else do I need? Boom, done. And the worm stake, I don't think, is affected by artillery. So that does scale with like attack up and stuff like that. So I can just do worm stakes instead. So it's like, I'll figure it out. How about you? Did anything change for you?
I should be finishing up my weapon impression videos, but I've been too busy like just goofing around.
Yeah.
And so like I did stuff like I don't know if you've seen some of my tweets, but like I was figuring out like I killed all the monsters using only the Kinsect. I made sure to do that. So
Oh yeah, I saw
Kizitsune, Rathian.
the one thing where you were talking about the Kinsect that I did saw.
Oh, it's great because when you mark it, like when you mark the head, it's great because you're doing all this damage, but then you run out of stamina. That the move, that backflip, the recall Kinsect, it keeps your weapon out, so you can restore all the stamina and you don't lose your marks at all.
And you can just
So
keep spamming
the head is still
Kinsect.
marked, and you just spam the shit out of it. It's so great.
Yeah.
That combined with the cat and the dog, like you're just standing there watching them just go crazy on the monster. It's hilarious.
It's the old RPG summoner build. You basically have your Palico, your Palamute, and your Kinsect, and they're just wailing on the monsters. They're just sitting back. You'll get a build going with like Palico Rally and whatever you can get to boost your Kinsect. Like maybe even does Blunt get carried over to the Kinsect if you do like KO? It's called KO, right?
Well, I mean, I mean, there are blunt Kinsects traditionally, right? There's several types in blunt.
What I'm
types.
saying
You
is
can
the
KO,
blunt
so.
skill. Does the blunt skill carry over to the Kinsect?
Probably not.
Why
I don't
not?
think so.
Should.
Well, the Kinsect's not wearing your armor.
I don't know how it works in World because I haven't played too much around with Kinsect, so I don't know how it would work. But like, imagine like passing, just using skills that would pass on stuff to your Kinsect. That would be insane.
That'd be fun.
Just like have a Kinsect.
Then I
build.
was.
It's been done in World.
I was That's true. Yeah, Kanta did some really fun Kinsect stuff.
Yeah.
But I was also doing stuff like testing out stun damage and how it works mechanically in the demo. Like, at what rate does it go up? How much does it go up by? So like stuff that nobody would care about. So like Rathian starts with forget what it was. I think it was I think 120 is her stun initial. It's not 150 anymore. It's 120, which means 4 stickies. That's all you need, and she KOs. Because it's because they didn't nerf it. There's still 30 stun per sticky. So 4 of them. And I did test it. Charging it does not affect it, which I think you mentioned. I tested it just to make sure. Charge levels don't make the stun go up.
But it does deal more damage. But it's like, I'm just so disappointed that essentially stickies are still the KO king. Like, I feel like stickies should be allowed to deal a ton of damage, but they shouldn't be allowed to also deal a ton of stun. Like, it's too much.
Yeah.
That you can just like
it is a lot.
Lock down the monster with stickies. I don't think that's right. Unless monsters in the final game, like they get diminishing returns off of stuns way faster using stickies.
Or maybe they just make it. Yeah, they can't make it harder to make stickies because you're going to have access to your item inventory. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the clip size will be really shitty, and then. But even then, you could just make them. So yeah, I don't know how they get around it.
And you still have like razor sharp, or assuming that.
Yeah. Then because it's the same blunt as the melee attack from a heavy bowgun. It's 30 stun. The level 2 uppercut from a hammer is 35. So it's not a huge difference.
So ridiculous, dude. It makes me so sad for hammers, principally, because like I feel like hammer should be the weapon that KOs the most, and it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I was even testing, like that awesome hammer move where you do the spin upward and you do like the big slam down.
Impact crater.
I was testing I was testing stun on that, and it does a lot of damage, but it's not nearly as big of a stun attack as I thought it was.
Oh, no.
It's probably only doing something like 60 stun. I don't think it's doing more than 100 for sure, because you can't use that initially and knock out a Rathian. It just doesn't work. It's not enough. It's probably somewhere around 60 to 80 stun, which is a little but the damage is delicious. So, but stupid stuff like that. And then Arzuros, I didn't realize, I think I just talked about last time, doesn't die in the Wyvern riding quest. So you can just pummel the living crap out of it.
He's a training dummy.
I
poked him with
for people
Kinsect.
who want to know motion values. Oh, really?
Yeah, I just repeatedly. He couldn't even move. He was like, "Oh, stop! No."
Yeah. So if you're really curious about motion values, which I care about a lot as well, there was a Japanese site where someone did all the work. But the thing is, every time that I try to reference something, I test a lot. So I randomly chose like 20 things from their list, and I tested them extensively to make sure that my numbers came out the same, just to make sure that is a trustable source. And the Arzuros in that quest, his butt is the perfect test because he's like the new training
softest.
room before the training, because you do 66% of your damage when you hit the butt. And we know from all the calculations that your weapons are 140 raw in the demo, all of them. So we got 140 raw, no element, no affinity, and his butt takes 66% damage, and there's no quest modifier. You can discern every motion value immediately just from hitting his dupa, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that's
so
how Chaos Slayer was doing that for the Gunland, so we figured out all of the...
But it got me thinking, are they going to nerf the motion values for Hunting Horn? Because they are high. They are really high. I was comparing it to like Iceborne, and we're talking like moves got almost double. Like they're really powerful. Like a move that was like 30 motion is like 50 in the Rise demo. I'm just like, whoa. Ridiculous amounts of power. So I don't know.
The Gunlance values were not particularly different. They were...
Yeah, Horn, totally different.
I think it might just be
even
like...
Greatsword had some changes, yeah.
I think it might just be like placeholder stuff, but at least I hope so.
Yeah, it's...
I
definitely think there's potential for it to be placeholder.
The movement values, for instance, on the longsword for the helm splitter, it was insane. Like people were saying, these values are almost like Iceborne level values, higher even, or something like that. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if it changes for the final game. I do agree with you there. I think it was good enough balance, and they just let's make a demo, because I'm sure they've had this demo for a while, for media and other stuff. Yeah.
Because they've probably used it like internally and whatnot just to showcase. So,
yeah.
One thing that people don't usually understand is that demos of a game, like they're usually pretty old. By the time you get a public look at a demo, like that demo is probably like friggin' 10 million versions of that game ago. Like it's not even...
I think that's another reason why they're going to take it down, because it's not like before you buy it, try this and see if you like. I don't think that's the case. I think this is literally just fan service.
Yeah.
For people who love it, so they're going to take it down, which makes sense. But I've been goofing around, and every time I try to do another weapons impressions video, I'm reminded how bad I suck at some of the weapons. Like I've been sitting on the longsword one for like weeks now. I have the entire 90% of that video is done. I talk over the moves. I talk about my feelings about them. The last 10%, which I think is the most important, which is, let me show you the Silkbind moves and the counters and how they look and feel in motion. I can't pull those off for the life of me.
You can't.
I think I've only pulled off in an EI / counter like once. I can't even counter Arzuros. Or sorry, so counters or Silkbind moves.
Okay.
I can't even foresight / an Arzuros. I can't pull it off.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Here's what you do. You should try to do what I did, which is go fight a Rathian, because you're going to be more we fought millions and millions of Rathian, so you'll be able to counter everything she does. That's how I did it. Like I got like 2 or 3 Yai counters. The Arzuros, interestingly enough, I think they changed them enough that he's very different from the previous games. Like he feels very different. His moves like feel much more unpredictable and much more punishing. So just go for the Rathian. You'll do yourself a favor. It's a lot easier to counter Rathian because you'll know her moves. So like all of her tells.
Well, I know her really well. I'll do like one really good counter, and then I immediately botch the clip by doing something really stupid afterwards. And it's like, I can't use this. I can't use this. And it's just like, you know what? I'm just not that good at certain weapons. It's just not. I mean, I can enjoy them.
I definitely will say right now I suck at longsword, but I think that they've actually made the counters more forgiving than what I remember in World. Because like I did a lot of counters on that Rathian. Maybe you just chose the wrong monster. You should go after the Rathian, dude. That is Zuros.
No, I've been even the Rathian kicks me around so much. I think my problem is my internal timer for the counter is still off. I'm still trying to parry it. So like I'm trying to wait until the last moment and hit it, where I think I'm supposed to be doing it much earlier.
Yes.
I'm probably just too used to using Lance.
Yeah, foresight / the timing on it is very different. It's like you want to be out of the way by the time the attack would hit you, not trigger it when you would get hit. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's so me in my head. It's still like it's like an adept evade. I should be doing it right as it goes. I should be doing it into the move, but it seems like you're supposed to do it slightly before the move comes at you.
Although in the ice slash, it's actually the other way around. I think you want to hit the attack as it's about to happen. It's something like that.
Maybe I should try using that more then.
Yeah, I do think that the two counters are slightly different. I know that there's probably going to be some of the many longsword mains out there in the comment section. They're going to tell us exactly. No, listen, guys. Here's the frame. Like when the tail reaches this apex, this is when you. Like I know that's going to happen because there's so many longsword mains out there, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking maybe I probably won't finish all my impression videos. I think I covered all the ones I really want to. There's only one that I want to do a video on, which is that I haven't, which is the Greatsword. I actually really, really like the Greatsword.
Did you do a Gunlance video? I don't remember seeing that.
I did not. I did not.
How dare you? Betrayal.
I snubbed it.
Betrayal. No, listen, we got it. We got to get together, and you can ask me whatever you want about the Gunlance, and you're gonna do your Gunlance.
Teach me the way of the Gunlance.
The Gunlance, I can tell you everything about it. I love that weapon. It's so damn good. So,
but yeah, it's been fun.
I have a different question, which this is like
Yes.
I almost think that this one's a little bit more of a cultural thing. Which, but it is something that I've seen referenced a lot throughout a lot of videos, which is DLC versus full game for the G rank version. Because I mean, let's face it, we all know there's going to be a G rank version of Rise. That's every single Monster Hunter game has had a G rank version. Sure, in the case of World, it was called Iceborne and it was called Master Rank. It was a G rank.
Minus there's one game that didn't get a G rank.
Which one?
Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. Monster Hunter Portable 3rd is base game only. They never gave it a G rank. And that's because the timing was bad. It was right on top of Monster Hunter 3 and Ultimate. It came too early.
Man.
But I think that's because
you
they
never want to do that.
Remember,
you never want to do that.
I think the problem is that Monster Hunter 3U, if you've seen my video, I was going through the interviews. Monster Hunter 3U was not meant to be an Ultimate expansion. It was meant to be like a remaster of the Wii game, but they ended up putting in so much damn new content, and they said, let's make this its own game. And so they made it 3 Ultimate at the very last minute. It wasn't even called 3 Ultimate throughout development. And I think because they immediately did that, they said, okay, we can't do Portable 3rd Ultimate or Portable 3rd G because now we're on top of our own game. So it only stopped at high rank. They never got a G rank for Portable 3rd, which is a shame.
That is
but this one, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, this one,
I'm sure we will.
We definitely will.
Monster Hunter 6 is not going to be ready next year. Come on now.
But the thing that I was asking is like, so a lot of people are like saying, man, I hope that there's a DLC like what they did for Iceborne, as opposed to it being like its own game. And this is something that I myself, I've made a video in the past, which to be honest, now I kind of regret that video. It's still up. But it was when Dark Arisen came out, I was upset. I was really mad because so I played Dragon's Dogma. I want to buy the DLC, but you're selling me a new game. And I don't think you could even import your save. I think if you had a save file, it would just like unlock hard mode or something like that. But I don't think you could just like straight up import your save. So in my case, it was fine because I got to basically sell the game that I had and I got more money than I needed to buy the other version, which was weird. But I was still frustrated about it. And now I look at it differently. I look at it like, well, I mean, if I buy the game and it's like the full game with the G rank version, then I just have a version of the game that has everything on disc, which in a way actually makes a lot more sense than, having the DLC because it's digital and whatnot. I know that some people don't care about that, but I personally like pretending that I actually own things. That's why I like physical, even though you don't actually own anything anymore. It's just a license.
Well, there's a physical disc for Iceborne, right? There's a physical version.
There is a physical version of Iceborne. I don't know if the disc has Iceborne on it or if it's just the base world and then it downloads Iceborne. I'm not sure. because I don't own it. I'm gonna own it eventually, but I don't own it right now. But that's the thing. Like, what do you think about it? Like having the full game versus just having the DLC, like what you had for Iceborne. Like, where do you stand on that?
I mean, it's tough because I don't. To me, it didn't seem like it was a huge difference because at least here in Japan, they marketed the packaged version pretty heavily. So you basically, it was like a traditional Monster Hunter game where you had two different package versions, but if you had World, you had the option of just buying it digitally to
Yeah.
add on, so you didn't have to buy another disc. And as a side consequence, I think of it being DLC, it made the cost much cheaper than traditional. Because like we pay like what $65-$70 for a base game here in Japan. We spend the exact same amount of money on the ultimate version, the
Oh,
G one.
really? See that I
Yeah,
wasn't
it's a full
aware
package
of.
here in
Okay.
Japan. Yeah, so like when my 4 and my 4G, they cost the exact same. They're like 5,500 or 6,000 yen or whatever each.
And here's a
They're not cheaper. So this was the first time they lowered the price. I'm like, damn.
interesting. So I'm actually curious about something else now that you bring that up. Could you import the saves from your previous game? So like if you had 4, could you import your save into 4U? Or would you have to start from
Oh yeah.
scratch?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No. You can import all your saves over,
So even
and
from
and you'd pay for a full package.
from 3 and 3U, same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
And then if you bought just 3U, it had everything on there. So it's not like you needed your game disc from 3 or whatever. It just
Yeah.
had your save.
So
So you could if you wanted, you could just pawn off and sell it once you transferred your save data.
because
You didn't need that anymore.
one of the things that people were bringing up is like they were scared of losing their save, and I was always thinking to myself, well, in Generations, I was able to just import my save into GU, and that was not a problem at all. Whereas, people were talking like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like lose my save or something like that. I don't know what was the point of bringing that up, because apparently you never did that in the previous games, according
You
to what
never
you're
did.
telling me.
Well, the only thing that was tricky was when, and this was not, well, this was a concern for the West, was when they released Generations Ultimate. There was a very tricky way to transfer your save from the 3DS game to the Switch. It was like a really weird thing. You had to like issue an ID. It gave like a locker room ID for your server. It uploaded it to the server, and then on the Switch, it would download to the server. And there was a set amount of times you can do it, which was stupid. So if you didn't get the process right and you screwed it up too many times, you have already exhausted all of your save download limits, and you could never you can't transfer your save data again. It was a really weird move that they did. Technically, you should only have to do it once, but because people just didn't understand the process, some people screwed it up. And they kept re-uploading their 3DS data because they couldn't find it on the Switch because they had the order wrong.
Oh.
Because what you're supposed to do is go on like the Switch, and you had to reserve the space on the server. Then you upload to there, and then it downloads. And if you screwed it up, it's like it wasn't downloadable. So I just uploaded it again. But then you only had like 5 times you could do this ever. And so then their save data was gone. So that was a very dark history for Monster Hunter, where I think they, perhaps through Nintendo regulations, because Nintendo didn't want people to just have unlimited server space to keep uploading. Because if someone just kept uploading the same data a million times, they would have to place it on the server a million times because of the way because they didn't have a single ID. Like,
Yeah.
here's your 3DS ID and here's your Switch. So Nintendo probably put some weird registrations on them, or
So
regulations.
I am
registrations.
confused about something. You just said 3 and 3 Ultimate, right?
Sorry, I'm
Or did you say
I'm getting
Generations
myself
and
confused. Sorry.
Generations Ultimate?
Generations and Generations Ultimate, yeah, from
Okay,
the
'cause
3DS to the Switch.
Okay. I was getting, because I was like, okay, so either I misheard you, because like you're talking about 3
The
Ultimate
3
on
and
the
3
Switch?
Ultimate, the 3 and 3 Ultimate was done really well. So I don't know why they didn't use that system.
Yeah,
So
it was weird.
when 3 and 3 Ultimate came out, when you had 3 Ultimate on the 3DS and then it came out for the Wii U later, there was an app on your 3DS that would transfer your save data to your Wii U. And then you would just use that app anytime that you wanted to transfer your data back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I think I have like, if you look at my 3DS like game history, it's like how many hours did you play each software? and it's like three Monster Hunter 3G data transfer app, and it was like 3 hours of gameplay because I had transferred my data that often between the two because I would play at work and during my breaks, and then I would play on the Wii U when I got home. So I would transfer my data 2 times a day, every day.
You were living Kojima's vision of transfarring, like remember the transfarring thing?
I don't know if you see this. Like, you don't have this in the West, but I'm showing him right now. You got the box for Monster Hunter 4 and the box for Monster Hunter 4G. They're totally different packaged games.
And
you guys didn't get Gore Magala as the flagship on 4 because 4 didn't come to the West. So
hey man, why you gotta do us dirty like that, dude? Like,
oh my god, I didn't realize they had fucking. I'm sorry, my mouth is really dirty.
Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
They had Chameleos on the back of the cover for 4G. That's awesome.
Nice.
I didn't even realize that.
That does look really. It's like
so I technically
those were some frustrating.
Don't need this.
You don't need the 4 version. Yeah, you have it.
Yeah, because the save data is already in 4G. So
it's like those were some really frustrating times back in the day when the games would come out in Japan first, and then the rest of us would have to sit here in the West just like waiting for it. So it wasn't even enough that like I eventually got a 3DS, even though I didn't want it to own a 3DS. I'm like, I don't want to own this console. I'll buy it to play Monster Hunter because I really like Monster Hunter. And then it's like, even after I get a 3DS, I still can't play Monster Hunter because it's only available in Japan. It's like, what do you mean? It's not fair. It was frustrating times.
I don't know how they going back to the topic, I don't know how they go back from what they did in Iceborne. Once you set a precedent that you can sell the G rank master rank expansion for how much was it, like $35?
It was $40. It was $40.
$40, which is lower than the base game cost. I don't know how you go back from that. How do you go to Rise and then say $65 for Rise and $65 for Rise Ultimate? I just don't see them being able to do it. So considering that the Switch is just as good for DLC mechanically as PlayStation 4 and Xbox, I could totally see them just doing the same thing again, where if you want to, you can buy it as a DLC add-on, or you can just get the package game.
The master
package game would be $65, so you wouldn't want to do that if you already own the original. It's kind of like wasted money at that point, unless you really want an offline, like, hard copy of the game.
Do you know what I would like? I would actually like it if they called it G rank in the West. Just like straight up. No, here's G rank.
I can't get used to master rank. It's G, man. It's G rank.
Master rank was very weird. I mean, it's weird enough that like, okay, so in Japan it's the G rank edition or the G edition, and in the West it's the ultimate edition. It's like, no,
edition, yeah.
It's a G edition everywhere. It's G edition in Japan and G edition in the West. Boom. Like friggin'.
But those changes are all over the game as well, so you know. For example, like the large barrel bomb G is called a mega barrel bomb in English.
Yeah,
or like the potion G's and stuff. Like there's G's all over item names in the Japanese version of the game.
That's what I
in English,
want.
They didn't use G.
I want the G's. Give me the G's, the big G's.
For people who don't know, who are listening, I'm sure most of you do, but like G is just the reason why they came up with G. They explained a long time ago was it just sounded powerful, like phonetically. When you say G, it sounds like great. It sounds like good. It sounds powerful. So they just said, yeah, it's G rank, baby. And I love that.
And by the way, we got to get the old bed animation. This is very important.
Oh, plop on the bed.
Yeah, like if we don't get that, like we already have the So Tasty. Like if you do a meal, you get the So Tasty. So I was like, thank God, dude. I hated cooking a steak in World and not getting the So Tasty. I was like, dude, what? And then you go to your room and you press your character just like gently sits on the bed. And I'm like, what is this? No, you need to jump on the bed, and that bed needs to be rock hard. Yeah. It needs to be rock hard so that when you land on it, you hear the if you just like landing on the bed. That's what you need. Like, I really
we're falling
want
down
them to
from 700 meters and landing on our feet. We use hard beds.
Exactly.
We're hunters.
Like I do want them to go back to some of the old style with some of that stuff, like the bed is so tasty, all of those little details. Like I preferred those the way that they were in the older game. Like sure, I played more of
Yeah.
World than any of the other ones, but some things you just don't change. I mean, look, the bed animation was the same in like at least I think Freedom Unite, 4 Ultimate, Generations, 3 Ultimate. It was always the thud of you just like landing right. Like that's what I want.
I will say though, for people who think maybe I've been harping on World too much because we've been talking about like the online, World fixed something that Generations sinned. They should not have done. They removed arm wrestling in Generations, which was a sin. They shouldn't have not. I don't know why they did that.
Oh right,
but they brought
there
it back
isn't.
in World. So that to me was a feature. I was like, oh, it's back. You can arm wrestle again.
That's right. I never
So
even thought
bless
about
World
it
for that.
because
Bless 'em.
I never even thought about that in GU because like the Hunter's Pub is so small, so tiny. I didn't even think about what you can do.
I mean, you could do goofy stuff at the table, which I think a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, you
Even in
can
World, like
drink
if
and
you
you
sit
can
down
get
at the table,
drunk.
you press up, down, left, or right, and do some funny animations.
Yeah, I do think that most people
yeah.
don't even realize that stuff is real. You want to know one of the really interesting moments in one of my videos was when I was holding Poogie, and people were like, "How are you holding the pig? Where is the pig? What is this?" I thought that was
But
hilarious.
this time, it's all about the cahoots. This time, I can't wait to see all the different animations we could do with cahoots.
Oh,
Owls.
the little owls. Yeah. And you
That's
can
the new Poogie this time is the
and
owl.
you can customize them as well because
Yeah, you can dress them up and stuff. So
yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, I have more topics, but they're so lengthy. The next couple of topics that I had for the podcast that I think we'll have to wait off on those. And
yeah,
I do think that there's been a lot of requests. This is one of the most request topics for our podcast, Gaijin, and it is lore. People want us to talk about lore.
Lore. I don't know. I'll just say if you're going to talk about lore, there's one man you'd probably want in the room with you, which is Bandino. I don't know if people follow Bandino, but Bandino is our Vati of Monster Hunter when it comes to cataloging and sharing lore and little tidbits. I know a good amount. I mean, Monster Hunter is not exactly like Dark Souls. It's not that deep, the lore, but there's fun stuff. Like there's still people who don't know about the story of why we hunt is for hunters and not 5.
Yep.
Like there's a story behind that, and not everyone knows it, but I love that kind of stuff. The world building.
That is very interesting. That when I first saw about this, I was like, wow, they actually came up with an in-game reason as to why we hunt in parties of 4. That's very
Now explain why we're doing 16, right? It's like
yeah. And
well, you see, it's a multiple of 4, therefore. It's
and there's well, I mean, it's 4 parties, so we're not technically breaking the rule of 4. It's 4 parties of 4.
Exactly.
And then there's
if it
also
goes 5, someone gonna die.
The thing that I always like to bring up that then I have to get corrected by people is like, that's not canon. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the equal dragon weapon. EDQ. There's a lot of people upset at my video on that one. And I will just say, the good thing is that a lot of the lore is not defined, which means it can be anything you want in your headcanon. Just don't take your headcanon and say that it's actual established like lore that's guaranteed that's how it happened in the game, because there's a lot of it that's fuzzy. That's the way they intended it to be.
But I mean, if you guys want lore, we might try to do something about that. But you have to tune in next episode to find out whether that's going to happen or not.
Yes. We got some stuff that we're trying to work on that could be exciting. So
who knows?
something to look forward to.
Anyway, as per usual, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, make sure to hit up with a like. It always helps out. Do remember, if you want to suggest topics, anything that you would like us to talk about, I actually had plenty of topics today that I didn't get around to from the community. So So those will be in the next episode. Well, maybe not the next because the next one might be special. We don't know. We don't know. It's a lot of stuff. But if you want us to talk about something, the best way to do it is to post it in the comment section of this video because I'm constantly checking it and taking notes for future episodes of the Third Fleet podcast. Links, as usual, are going to be in the description for Gaijin's socials. I believe you wanted me to put Discord in there as well, correct?
Yeah, just so a lot of people don't realize, I do have a Discord server, which is a nice, friendly place for hunters to get together. Got some nice, it's not overly, some Discords can be very heavy. There's like 1,000 channels and rules and bots and stuff. We don't have any of that. It's simple. It's nice. We got rooms for people to talk, enjoy some nice guidelines to keep it safe and positive. But discord.gg/Gaijin Hunter, it's where I do like to go from time to time and just good place to meet people. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and please check out my server. It'll be a lot of fun. And you have a Discord server as well, don't you?
Yes. That stuff is also going to be all in the description because screw you guys having to memorize links. I'll put all of the links in the description. I'll try to put it on the description of the audio podcast as well on the notes. So you guys might have to scroll down on the notes to get to the links, I think, because I don't know, depending on your device and whatnot, the stuff that it shows. But I'll put it moving forward on the episodes as well there. So you guys can check out our Discord servers there as well as the socials, links to our YouTube channels, all of that stuff in the description of each episode of the Third Fleet podcast. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. Thank you, sir. And you.
Thank you for staying up so late to do these. People don't realize the time zone, the sacrifice of sleep that goes on your end is insane. So
I thought you were just supposed to say happy hunting, but thank you.
Happy hunting and get good. No,
yes, that's it. We're adding a new one on top of happy hunting. Happy hunting and get good.
GG does not stand for good game. It stands for get good. I'm joking, guys.
We're all joking.
Enjoy the demo while it's still up. We'll see if it remains up, but stay safe.
Yeah.
Happy hunting,
and
guys.
Remember, don't burn out on the demo either, because there's going to be a full game coming right around the corner. But yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Till next time.